Right,
Oh,
welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Harrison, and we are back for another series of Age of Empires 3 for you today. This is the EPL number 2, week 1, between the CMCs and the New World Challengers. We have SoldieR representing the New World Challengers today. He be spawning into the southwest in game 1 as the Civ, the Iroquois. His opponent, Lecastete, playing for the Cuirassier Management Company, will be playing game 1 as the Germans, spawning into the northeast, and we did see a wood crate start, so it looks like Lecastete will be going for a TP, and I wonder if the Iro player will be looking forward for a TP in H1. He is chopping extra wood.
yeah, looks like it. And on this map, there's just spawned so many wood treasures, like 80 wood up here up for grabs, and more wood treasures over here. Maybe Lecastete is gonna. Yeah, it looks like he already scouted the 40 wood because he's stopped chopping right at 60 wood, and this allows him to get his age up in that much better or with less idle time. And SoldieR picking up 40 wood for himself. Unfortunately, a little bit too late to really go into the TP production.
Well, Lecastete actually has a 40 wood just north of his training post, very, very close to where he started, but he's seen that 40 woods to the southeast of his base. It shouldn't matter too much. He'll get that house down before he reaches that 10-10 population and should be able to send his first shipment very, very soon. That XP pass just happened and is nearly ready to send his first shipment.
Yeah. Looks like he clicked away a bit. Hopefully his house is not going to be delayed. He still has villagers in queue. And the shipment is now on the way.
Yeah,
so all good there.
Yeah, so slightly delaying that 2 settler wagon shipment there, but it's no big deal, and it certainly would have sent it earlier than you would have done without the aid of a trading post. So good start for Lecastete, and SoldieR himself is going for an early trading post himself, thanks to some of the extra wood treasures he has picked up and scouted.
Yep, and again 2 Dubers coming out. This map has quite some Dubers to find. And looks like SoldieR going for 75 food, which is quite good for Iroquois because they need every food they can get to age up quickly. And Lecastete finds the 85 wood treasure, which he's going to be able to pick up easily with his 2 macaques. Oh, no, it's monkeys actually. Monkeys.
I think, yeah, the treasure says macaque. There's actually Dubers which come out, so slightly confusing, but...
So Duber is a monkey and Freitag is a macaque. Is that correct?
That is correct. I want to say there's another macaque name, but I forgot what it is. But Duber and Freitag, maybe that.
Yeah, maybe the chat can tell us.
Maybe that could be the new ESOC community emotes, just having the pictures of Dubers and Freitags.
They look exactly the same, but you have to type in different commands.
SoldieR scouted 80 wood from his macaque. He does have the snow leopard and a tiger, so lots of damage available for the Era Explorer. But looks like he's wanting to chase Lecastete's explorer named Kaiser. In this matchup, maybe want to take down the German explorer, but Lecastete already has that trading post down in age 1, so if you pick off this German explorer, it probably doesn't actually do too much for you apart from deny your opponent's scouting treasures. But if you've got treasures yourself to pick up with this nice army of animals, shall I say, then actually going for your nice treasures of 80 wood there and then, very, very nice indeed. And if we turn off the fog of war again, we see the other treasures to the northwest, which have not yet been scouted. 45 coin, another coin treasures, or another macaque treasure, but the 95 wood treasure guarded by 2 white tigers has spawned in the 11 o'clock position.
Yep, so a ton of good treasures on this map, and I think both players had quite a good H1. And also both players aging up on time, clicking up at 3 minutes, and Lecastete already having all the market techs in, it seems. Oh no, he skipped placer mines. What? I don't know, he's researching it now.
Yeah, it doesn't necessarily matter which order you get it down. I mean, at the moment he's gathering more coin than he is gathering food, so you could argue place mines first, but not the greatest of differences there. Does have enough resources to go for steel traps as well. I wasn't too sure if he chopped all that wood for the steel traps or whether he bought 100 wood to get the 126 needed, but looking to go steel traps behind this, so playing a very standard way in comparison to what the last matchups we saw in the last series was. A very entertaining series indeed between Lucas and Hazzo. SoldieR going up to the second stage, but look at Dubas. They're really putting pain on his Travois, and looks like he has to play it very defensively.
Wow.
Just imagine if one of those Dubas with that 5 speed stats was ahead of that Travois. So he had one behind, one just basically walking right in front of that Warhut's Travois. That could have get picked off there for SoldieR, and he would have been in a very difficult situation.
Yes. Very good preparation from Lecastete. He knew that the Warhut Traverse was going to be out there, and probably no H2 aggression, but still denying the forward Warhut placement is a nice pickup for Lecastete.
Fight of the century happening at North O'Clock. White Tigers, Snow Leopards. Oh, it's just that poor White Tiger's been taken down very, very quickly. Another 95 wood for SoldieR, and let's see what he's going to spend that on.
Like these 4 guys, they can take down the 2 Ulans probably. Yeah, not quite. But they're quite strong together.
So you know how SoldieR wanted to push that Warhut forward. He's had to drop it defensively, but it's also not as defensive as you'd normally like it. There's quite a bit different distance between the Warhut and the town centre. So good opportunity, raising opportunities here for Lecastete. He's got 2 Ulans in. One villager is tantalisingly walking out the town centre next to the Ulans, but probably just trying to keep this Ulan interested. But it's time to back away at this point. 2 Dubas moving to the south. But
4 Canyon ships and the big button.
Oh, yeah. Lecastete will find us 1 villager, but he will also now scout the 4 Canyons. And if anything, that's a bigger win for Lecastete, so he sees what SoldieR's up to and can react appropriately.
Yep, and I think he only trained the standard 5 Ulans, and is now wants to get up to the Fortress H. And SoldieR also, I believe, trained 5 Tomahawks, so quite a big colonial mass from him here.
Yeah, certainly. Lecastete saw at least 5 Tomahawks and those Canyons and decided to back off. 5 Ulans will be coming in close contact to those Canyons. Lecastete is trying his best to raid here, but I think if he gets caught out by the Canyons or the Tomahawks, he'll be losing lots of Ulans, and these guys are very nice to have into the third age.
Villager going down probably. 3 Ulans coming in at a perfect angle, and just take a bit of damage, losing 1 Ulan.
He's staying around to try and raid again, but he's already lost 1 Ulan. A second Ulan's on low HP as well. Those 2 on low HP. The other 5 they're trying to push out for another raid, but another 2 of these Ulan's on 22 HP. So, low HP cavalry. Lecastete is trying to get the resources for an age up in queue, but he's not actually
Crossbowmen in the
aging.
queue.
Yeah, he's got 1 crossbowman in queue, and I think he's realised that 4 Canyons and 10 Tomahawks are running towards his base, and he's even sent 700 coin just come in now, but he's got lots of coins stacked up already.
Yeah, I probably Lecastete had the crossbowman in the queue and wanted to cancel it, but now that he sees that the push is coming in from SoldieR, he knows that he has to train more unit batches to fend this off. And sieging the market just now. Crossbowman getting some good shots on the Tomahawk. And Lecastete is aging now, so right when SoldieR is going back, Lecastete manages to age. And also looks like SoldieR going up to age, so just a bit of skirmishing going on in H2.
Yeah, I think SoldieR, once he saw those 4 crossbowmen, he realised that if he wanted to come out and see the German players' base, he has to do with the Ulans, the 4 crossbows, as well as Minutemen, and I think SoldieR kind of weighed up his options and thought, actually, these Tomahawks are better suited to being alive than dead, and these Canyons are very nice additional units to carry on to the third age, and all these Canyons are full HP, and I do respect SoldieR for keeping them alive. Iro going to town on 2 of these Ulans.
Yep, he crackshotted them, and then now he fends them off. Like, this guy is very strong.
So, just imagine if Lecastete wasn't continuously raiding here, he'd have had an extra 4 Ulans into his mass. He may have not picked off that 1 villager, but Lecastete has lost 5 Ulans, and that's 750 resources worth, whereas SoldieR, well, he's just lost a villager and quite a few of his pets, but it's just the villager, and that's a lot of resources Lecastete has decided is worth to invest for his raids and economic disruption.
That's true, but at the same time, the community likes to call these Ulans XP donators because they don't really think they're a unit worth training. I'm not sure in which camp Lecastete is, if he values the Ulans or if he just wants to get any value he can out of them.
Well, Ulans are, it's low HP, but they have a high attack, and if you can,
they're good still.
If you can ship 9 Ulans, 8 Ulans onto a enemy formation and be able to break apart the anti-cavalry, then you just clean up armies. And we've even seen, I think it was versus maybe Ezad Kevin game. I can't remember who it was. It might be Stanley Winston versus B Winner, but 8 Ulan shipments with a batch of Ulans trained was enough to clean up an army in Iowa. So they're certainly good units. Now that it's into the Fortress Age, going Skirmisher Ulan at this point. Hopefully he gets the Veterancy coming in very, very soon. Because certainly pushing out with Colonial Ulans in the Third Age is not what you want. 3 Forest Prowlers trained by SoldieR, 5 Musket Riders shipped, and no other units currently in queue.
No, and the Veteran Ulan upgrade is on the way just now. And Musket Riders coming out for SoldieR being shipped. Both of these players have gotten in the market upgrades. Even Gangs are coming in for Lecastete. And looks like he can zone off the opponent of the map.
I think these guys are just happy massing. They do have the TP providing them XP to send more and more shipments. I noticed how SoldieR was keeping his cavalry mass to the left-hand side, hoping to catch a few raiding Ulans pathing that by. He's seen Lecastete was very happy sending lots of Ulans this way, so keeping those Musket Riders away and maybe just trying to hide what units SoldieR has and trying and create a false impression for Lecastete to overcommit. But it looks like SoldieR currently training 1 Forest Prowler in queue, 1 Musket Rider in queue, and does have lots of Forest Prowlers. And the fact that SoldieR's kept those Tomahawks alive, these are good units to defend this Forest Prowler mass from those Ulans.
Yep. And yeah, I like the strat of hiding the Cav mass, and looks like Lecastete already going forward again. I'm not sure who wins this in a very long, drawn-out fortress war. Maybe Iroquois has the edge with their better unit upgrades?
The skirmisher upgrades? They do have infantry combat, so HP and
which is very strong, yeah.
For both the Iro skirmishers and Tomahawks. Tomahawks still Colonial Age though. It would be nice to get a elite upgrade on these guys, but he's too busy training Forest Prowlers. Forest Prowlers moving forward onto the skirm line of Lecastete, and these guys are strong enough to pick up a couple of Ulans themselves. Needs to not overcommit though and have these Canyers and Musket Riders nearby in support.
Yep, 9 Ulans now coming out for Lecastete, and maybe the next shipment is going to be Cav combat and then it's go time. He hasn't seen a lot of anti-Cav from his opponent and maybe thinks this is a good time to strike. But everything being quite even so far. He's
training another batch of 5 Ulans, so 3 war wagons were enough just to kind of deal with any of the Kanya horsemen. But Lecastete is going full on RE style skirm Ulan into this mass, and we're going to see once this engagement does happen, it's going to be a big engagement. But these Forest Prowlers are out-strengthening and also out-massing these skirmishers, and I think SoldieR may be at risk of overproducing Forest Prowlers at this point. Because he's seen what's the German players working for him of the mainly Ulan-based army due to this Longhouse and the Forest Prowlers line of sight. So he knows not many war wagons on the field and not many infantry for the German player.
Yeah, and look at this. They are so far away. They're probably covering 4 raids, but if an engagement happens soon, they will have quite a bit of ground to cover. Till they get there. And also no Musket Riders in queue for SoldieR, and he doesn't have any more shipments, I think. So the anti-Cav potential is quite weak for him here, while Lecastete's Cav potential is quite big. He still can ship 8 Ulan and the Cav combat card.
I really like this from SoldieR, going for 6 Canyers and the elite Canya upgrade. Quick look at his deck. He does have the 5 Renegade French Cuirassiers as well, and Cuirassiers can trade toe-to-toe versus Ulans as well. Very nice. Ulan raids top side, but will be fended away by his Musket Riders. Looks like they didn't get a shot off in the end, maybe 1 shot. But I actually think SoldieR may have AFK'd those Musket Riders. They're not in his group of Canyers and Musket Riders here, so hopefully SoldieR can select all his Musket Riders and regroup them before a big engagement. Cav combat has come in for Lecastete, as you correctly pointed out.
Yep. And I'm wondering, it looks like it's go time for Lecastete. And I think the Musket Riders on top here are just there to AFK protect against Ulan raids like they just did. But now they have to come, and we will see if SoldieR reacts in time.
Do we see a fire pit down for SoldieR? And at the moment, the answer to that is no. So if he does engage, there is no war dance for SoldieR, and I feel that this tension building up, but
Yep.
both
Look at
players
this. Lecastete is luring him forward into an open position. The Ulan's getting a bit pathing blocked, but now they have a good surround. And they're just taking everything. No, he's pulling back.
Yeah, we've got Tomahawks
Ulan's
and
not doing too much
Canyons
damage
on top
here.
of the Ulans as well. And these XP donators are going down fast, actually.
Oh, more Warwings coming in. But that's not really the unit he needs. He needs more Ulans probably. Or skirmishers to clean up the units that he actually can counter. But still looks like the fight is going... Yeah, it's going quite even. Still some Musket Riders on the feet, and the Ulan mass is thinning out. Of course, the Iroquois unit's very strong. And he still has some Musket Riders left over, and also the more Musket Riders coming in. The 4 are still on the coin mine, but looks like this engagement went quite decent for SoldieR. The big calf surprise did not work out for Lecastete, and he is in the skirmisher lead, in the skirmisher deficit, I mean.
Yeah, Lecastete has invested a lot of those into Ulans. Having a quick look at the recalculated economic population, looks to be in favour for SoldieR, and that's because there's been a 2-vet Ulan raid right into the base, and losing villagers right underneath the nose of your town centre, that's not exactly what you wanted, and he's still... Those 4... Well, he's moved those 4 musket riders onto his other coin mine, so he knows that those musket riders are there, but deciding to not include in his army composition. And
he has lost 12 villagers so far. But this could even it up. He has canyons to snare them, and Lecastete reacting just now, but yeah, looks like he can save most of his villagers and even turn this into a big bait.
Yeah, it's going to force the engagement, because if you don't engage this era armor, you're losing villagers. So we do see war wagons moving into the musket riders. Canyons nearby. Forest Prowler is going to trade well versus skirmishers. Only 8 Ulans on the field at this point. 7 war wagons reinforcing. I like Ero's position at the moment in terms of the military strength, but there's still no fire pit down and war dance for SoldieR. And that. Just imagine if he had the fire pit in that previous engagement, that'd be gone really well for him.
Yeah, but I like this move from SoldieR, and let's have a look at the units in queue. Training more Canyons, that's probably the right call. He doesn't need any more Musket Riders, he has 18 of them, and that's enough to fend off basically an infinite number of Ulans.
Oh wow, he lost a couple of vills here and there to raids in front of the game, but in that big engagement he must have lost about 9 to 10 villages on those deers, and that's why we see the eco population so far in Lecastete's favour. We do finally see infantry combat coming for elite Forest Prowlers, so these guys will be much stronger than the Euro's skirmishers counterparts. However, the bulk of Lecastete's army is in the cavalry department, where we do see the cavalry combat upgrade.
Yep. Has he already shipped 8 Ulans? No, he hasn't. So there's still some cav potential for him here, but bleeding out more villagers, and this is what SoldieR needs. He needs to come back into the economic population to then even this game out later in the military count.
How are the coin mines doing? Lecastete is obviously a coin-hungry civ, 1400 coin right side. He does have the gold mine working with all his settler wagons down to the south side. If this is scouted, it's not necessarily GG, but it will certainly force an engagement down to the south side, whether the German player wants to take it or not.
Yep, and I think SoldieR isn't aware of that situation quite yet, but of course you know that Germany runs through coin mines like knife through butter, and he probably wants to pressure these mine spots at some point, but not just now busy fighting the skirmisher war in the middle of the map, and it looks like SoldieR has an advantage both in numbers and in quality.
Yeah, he's now sent 8 Ulans at this point, and I think he wants to smash this in. Cannon's engaging with the Ulans.
Where the Musket Riders going?
Musket Riders not necessarily fighting, but they're stood in front of the skirmishers of the German civ. Forest Prowlers are focusing down the Ulans. I think this is going to be a great engagement for Lecastete.
Horrible positioning for SoldieR. The Musket Riders just ran into the skirmishers, and Lecastete had to do no micro at all to just focus them down, and now a ton of Ulans left over, and this is just game. You can't lose your entire army in a close game like this. It was looking quite alright for SoldieR, but then just a misclick probably coming in and costing him big.
Yeah, so I mean, an interesting conversation to have is Lecastete had lots of cavalry, so probably the PR25 move would be put your anti-cavalry in front of your skirmishers, protect your skirmishers, and then let your anti-cavalry take on the Ulans. But actually, the fact that those musket riders were so far forward, the war wagons were fighting them, the skirmishers were fighting them, and they do very, very well. And the Ulans had them in hand combat, so they were doing damage as well, and those musket riders fell over. But I have seen a few games where even up against a strong cavalry mass, players still like to put their skirmishers forward just to tank and let the anti-cavalry sit behind, out of the range of the skirmishers, but still dealing with the cavalry. So positioning there, I think, was the big one.
Yeah, I think the ideal spot is for your cavalry to block their cavalry and the anti-cav cleaning up their cav faster than they can clean up your cav band. Also in the chat, they're pointing out there is no fire pit for SoldieR still now, and that could have been a huge swing in this fight. Like, this is a 20% attack increase that you can get, or something like that, and that would have been would have made quite an impact.
I think Lecastete has just shown us a lesson for all buzzing AoE3 players. If you're playing Germany or playing any Civ and you take a massive engagement, just spare 2 or 3 cavalry units and put them onto your enemy's eco. You can see that SoldieR was focusing on that fight and traded off quite well. A equal engagement for both players. Military populations very, very close, but that villager count, he lost 10 vills just to 2 Ulans, and he was very close to a TC, so it wasn't like they came out the blue. It was just that SoldieR just wasn't aware of them at that point and had to focus on his army, and then that put SoldieR on the back foot, I believe.
Yeah, that just puts the remers in Lecastete's favor, and that Red won the game, as you said.
Very nice. Let's go on to the next game. It's going to be on Kamchatka Summer, it looks like. And players got the map correctly, and all the other modes are ready to be done. Mr. Brown.
No, Migo, I meant Aero had the advantage in quality of units. If I said Germany, I'm sorry. I meant Iroquois. Migo saying that I said Germany has the advantage in quality of units, and quality in quotation marks, which is of course true.
They certainly had the quantity, that is for certain.
They have the quantity.
Especially with the 8 Ulan reinforcements joining the other Ulans being trained. And I think one thing to pay tribute to Lecastete there was, I want to say that he managed to keep all those war wagons alive throughout the game. Like, he never pushed in those war wagons overkill and kind of donated them to those forest prowlers of the Iroquois civilization. So once that secondary fight came in, Lecastete had about 7 or 8 war wagons with the cav combat in the back line, dealing with those musket riders, and that is what helped Lecastete overcome SoldieR's army at that point.
Yeah, and I feel for SoldieR, because this is how I lose all my games. I play like quite well, and then I just go in and lose all my army, and I have no clue why. And then it's just over, and I have to resign. Like, this is how all my games go.
You think that's funny? So I was playing versus SoldieR on SoldieR's stream, and I'm a PR 25-26. And I had a good game versus SoldieR. He's a brigadier, and I felt he was starting to feel a little bit under pressure. It was going all well until I kind of just pushed 4 falconets into his base. Just, there you go. Here's my cannons. Please,
just a casual 4 falconet push.
Yeah, and I was so disappointed when I saw that happen. When I got to the you're being attacked alerts, I was like, oh, what's that? Where's that raid coming from? But no, it's my cannons in his base. I'm like, oh, that's so sad.
Yeah, I feel you. Just so sad. Yeah, Duck in the chat saying, I spent like 3 seconds shit posting in the chat, and suddenly it was 24 prowess versus 30 Ulans, and yeah, that sums up the game quite well.
Yes.
I'm out of the loop. Who picks first?
Now, guys, we need to remember, instead of saying lines like 8 XP donators for the win, we need to include the 15 XP donators for the win. These units cost 150 units, 150 resources, and so they give 15 XP once you kill them. So let's get the numbers correct. Certainly, Lecastete's now back. Lecastete's pick yes, because he's the CMC to go first. And Kamchatka, nice standard map here. Not a high TP map, not an easy map to get control of all 3 TPs as well, so this should influence Lecastete's pick.
Yeah, a ton of civilizations can come out on this map. This is one of the most standard EP maps, and also the first one. Back in 2015 it was made by Garja. And yeah, Lecastete can't play Germany again, but French, also a civilization he's familiar with, British, and maybe even Iroquois as well.
Well, yeah, if he's good with French, then Eero has a very similar style to Fast Fortress or a
Yeah.
semi-FF French player style as well. So lots of these civs share common skill sets. So if you're good with a couple of these civs, you can play 4 to 5 to a good high level, and that's what you need in this series. Is about 3 or 4 civs you're really comfortable with, and then you can kind of plan your matchups around those civs instead of having to be a jack of all trades, thanks to the civ reset.
Yep. And maybe he's not. He has to answer some more emails. Not picking a civilization just yet. Can you tell me what the next maps will be after this? Watmala was the last one, but I forgot the other ones.
Maybe you have to cross that bridge when you get to it, because it's one of the challenges doing things back to back. I believe this is map port number 1, so let's have a very quick run back.
I see it's Adirondacks, Iowa, and Watmala after this. So 2 water maps. Do you think any of these players are gonna play some water?
No, I don't think SoldieR is a big fan of water. I think Lecastete doesn't like water, so I think we may see a bit of from SoldieR. I don't think Lecastete does enjoy it whatsoever. And also, like for example, Wadmalul, it has lots of resources at sea. It has 6 whales, lots of fish, but they're so spread out. So you have to consider walking time for your fishing boats, but it's very hard to defend, and you only really have access to 2 or 3 whales, nice and safe. So fishing play is not the common strategy on that map, so I don't think we'll see it. The other maps, Iowa, no water present. Adirondacks, food to the north, but no whales. Maybe nice for a civ like China, French to go for a kind of a small dock play where you might train 5, 8 fishing boats in the second age to kind of help your third age economy, but the focus will be on the land for this series, I believe.
Yeah. That sounds so nice in theory, and I was talking to Diaruga at some point. Would it be worth to mix in some fishing boats as France on like Hudson Bay or something? He was like, no, just straight no. Like I wrote an entire essay, and he was like, no, don't do it. And I was like, is it too slow? And he says, yes, it's too slow. Don't do it.
Yeah, I was playing versus another player and went for a few fishing boats on Baja California because he got a nice defensive pond there, but I was having to defend for my life because I wasn't playing the standard way that French would normally be played. We see Lecastete choosing to pick France on Kamchatka, a standard civ for a standard map.
Yeah, this I like a lot. You probably know this. France is my main civ, and I also enjoy watching them to pick up some tricks from the pro players. And SoldieR can counterpick with Germany here. This is a matchup that is considered quite good for Germany, and also Germany a civ that SoldieR is very well. He knows very well.
Didn't I beat you as Germany versus France one time?
Yes, that's possible. I play a ton of France versus Germany.
Ego, get woohoo!
Oh yeah, I remember you beat me quite hard. I overcommitted on I wanted to get down the stable, and you just killed me with 20 Ulans coming from every direction. Yeah, I remember now.
And then the other time we played, my internet cut out. So no, yeah, we had a total blackout or total power cut. But that's off topic chat. We are back.
I just want to end. My play was so strong that Harrison's electronic connections just cut off. They were like, we can't take it. This is too much.
But we're about to spawn into game number 2 on Kamchatka between SoldieR and Lecastete. Lecastete taking an early 1-0 lead in this series so far, which is very nice for him indeed. The first game played on Bering Straits, Lecastete winning as the Germans, but now playing as the French on Kamchatka, and will be spawning into the southeast of the map in the colour red, where SoldieR has counterpicked with the Germans himself, and he'll be spawning into the northwest, or the north on map, shall I say. 100 food and 100 wood crate start for both players, I believe. Looks like SoldieR's going to go straight for a TP. Lecastete's going for a straight TP, so both players using that early wood straight on. Nice standard stuff. Awkward back herd from Lecastete early on. It's always frustrating to see in the first stage. But
was it the Gaja goats? No.
No.
It was the caribous.
No. So It was the caribous. He wanted to click on the tree, but clicked on the caribou, so that was was
okay.
accidental mistake from Lecastete.
Yeah, that happens to me all the time. That's so frustrating. And I want to say the 200 Woodstart is very important for Germany because with the newest EP iterations, it is possible to steal this TP as France, but of course not if it's 200 Woodstart. So this potentially saves the trading post for SoldieR in the second age. Had he had to build it later, maybe Lecastete could have stolen it. And yeah, 4 golds because of the native scout coming in for Lecastete.
Yeah, very nice pickup from Lecastete, and there is no way SoldieR can contest that because he only has 1 scouting unit available. Lecastete does see 85 wood to the south. Looks like he's going to turn around and crack shot it, and I think he feels very safe to gather it because SoldieR was also dropping down a trading post and should be quite far from this treasure, but he's nearby. But he's going to go on the wrong side of the pond. And I think Lecastete should be able to pick up this treasure.
Yeah, he should be able to get it. But SoldieR having good map knowledge, he knows he has to come into the middle of the map, and then at the top, at the bottom is where the good treasures are at. And he also scouted the top part with his macaque that he found, and he knows that there are 80 food up there.
Both players getting the macaques out. So this is Freitag the pet macaque instead of Duba the pet monkey. Both scouting a lot of extra treasures. So both players having a very good lay of the land, and SoldieR's already herding back his caribou, but that's his starting caribou. And his other hunts are actually forward. This forward caribou is be awkward for SoldieR to defend, but he does have another one to the left side of his base to be much easier for him. Was Lecastete found another wood treasure. Yeah, he already got that previous 85 wood treasure. This 80 wood treasure would be very, very nice for the French player.
Yeah, unfortunately he couldn't convert that wood treasure into an earlier age up time. Yeah, he had already got all the wood that he needs for the house, but still, his market and upgrades are going to be super quick in transition. And that's just the power of France and the native scout. They just get so much scouting done. And he even spotted another 40 wood treasure, which he's probably going to be able to take since SoldieR's in no position to contest it.
I wouldn't be surprised if Lecastete actually thinks, hang on a minute, I've picked up the wood treasures, I can go straight for this middle TP and secure it before SoldieR wants to. Because it's not like there's an infinite amount of TPs which everyone can build as many as they like, or within what their build allows. There's only 1 more remaining, so SoldieR could use some of that wood from the age up to go for a TP. He could be chopping more wood in transition for his second TP, and I think whoever controls that middle TP just has that momentum swing in terms of shipments and progression and just general momentum in late age 2, early age 3.
Yeah, Lecastete has just if he picks this up, a basically 200 wood advantage. And I also want to say, SoldieR had to idle his TC quite a bit. He only clicked up at 3:13, which is like 13 seconds behind what the time you actually want to do. So, of course, the macro as Germany is quite tight if you go for early TP. And that hurt him a bit. And you can see that he is aging up a little bit slower than Lecastete.
Freitag, the pet macaque from Lecastete in German player's base, hiding underneath the market, and might be able to just sit there because unless SoldieR's looking at his mini map, it's quite hard to see your macaque underneath your opponent's market. Depends on what kind of graphical settings you have. It's just like the Dutch envoy. Sometimes you don't even realize your opponent's scout is in your base. It's just so chill, just sat there. You just don't actually consider it. But Lecastete's going to choose to move it on. German Explorer is kind of pushing forward as well. He wants to see what the French player's doing, and neither player has gone for that middle TP. And Lecastete still has 175 wood.
Yeah, this pains me so much. He overgathered 50 wood and basically for no reason at all, and it's just gonna slow down everything else. Like 50 wood is worth 100 food, and yeah, this pains me so much if I see an overgathering of wood.
Yeah, so it looks like he's going to go for the early steel traps with that wood he had banked over. Dropping down a military building first, though, quite important. Stable, 1 house. Steel traps, 2nd house. That wood has already been used up and been put into infrastructure. Very nice for Lecastete. SoldieR, not double stable, just a single stable. Had to move that position due to Freitag, pet macaque. Single stable, 2 houses, defends in his coin mines to the left-hand side with this house position. I like that quite a lot.
Interesting positioning. And stable coming out from Lecastete. This is a sign of a confident player. This means he thinks he can win the cav fight because it's quite tough to beat 7 Ulan with only 5 Hussars. So you have to be quite on point of your unit control. And he also barely gets the 80 coin treasure in the middle. And based off his age, H1, he probably can get batches of 5 Hussars back to back to back.
Yeah, he's also got 4 goats in his base, remember. And both players do have goats available for them. Goats economic units and have... no, it's just 5 goats for Lecastete. There's no goats for SoldieR. We still do see a couple out and about, including...
Yeah, I think he ate them to age up quicker.
Yeah, that might have helped. But we do see a couple goats left-hand side yet to be picked up. 700 coin for SoldieR instead of 700 wood. Indicates a slightly faster semi-FF than he would have planned. And I don't think he's training units behind this. No, he's not.
No, it looks like just a straight FF, and Wicked Cosset would like this. He dislikes sending 700 wood many times if you're going for a semi-FF. And Lecastete not being too active on the map with his cavalry, although he has an opportunity now to do some damage, because there are only... oh no, there actually are some Ulans out for SoldieR. Did he train like a batch of 2? Must have.
What was that, Ulans or?
Yes, SoldieR I think has trained like 2 Ulans or 3.
Well, he sent 2 shipments, so he should have a maximum of 4, but he does have 2 pushing south, 2 right, so he must have had a small batch being trained, and that batch was just there to help him out. And I think SoldieR's now seeing that Lecastete's massing Hussars. SoldieR's already clicked up. I think SoldieR needs to frantically gather coin to be able to get a couple of war wagons in queue on age up. I don't think you have enough resources to gather a full 1,000 coin before reaching the Fortress Age to go for Black Riders. Lots of wood gatherers at the moment as well.
Yeah, he hasn't sent 700 wood because he needs to get some houses down. But this actually, I think, plays in SoldieR's hand because he gets quite some distraction going with a few Ulans that he has. And Lecastete is going to age up a little bit slower because he trained more cavalry. And he has not done too much with them so far. Yes. And SoldieR now already up, and probably a warbang going to be in queue very soon.
Lecastete's got not a lot of food, 900 coin in the bank, so desperately gathering the food to age up, but he's now pushing out with his Hussars he's trained. He trained a few Musketeers staying at home, but SoldieR bought a lot of time with those 2 Ulans. Those Ulans died in Lecastete's base, but essentially those Hussars were not in the German player's base, but lots of units here to be idled from the German player.
Good reactions from SoldieR, not losing a single villager just yet. Can he block a settler wagon? Looks like it. 1 settler wagon going down, and a second one, but not coming in. But this is still a good pickup because he's going to be in the economic lead from now on.
Oh, 3 war wagons coming out.
Oh, just in time, and he's going to get cleaned up here. The war wagons are more than enough to clean up the colonial Hussars.
They should be enough. He's taking a lot of damage though due to him being in close combat, but I think Lecastete's just trying to trade him off because he'll be snared by the Ulans, and these war wagons can chase after that snared cavalry, so Lecastete...
And also the melee resist coming in here to help them. And Lecastete only aging up just now. He's almost an entire minute behind the standards France semi-FF due to the muskets and Ulans that he built in H2. And I can't help but feel that he is a bit behind now.
Yeah, I think those 5 Musketeers from Lecastete was a slight mistake. He had lots of coin in the bank, but it took him a while to get that food required. He did have to spend 1,200 food in producing 10 Hussars, or he may have only got a batch of 9 out, or say a 5 and a 4, but spent lots of food in those units, and we've only just getting up now. SoldieR should be able to send 2 shipments first before Lecastete can even get his first one out.
Yes. And also, maybe he trained those muskets to because he was anxious of the Ulan raids coming in, and SoldieR having had some nice Ulan running around on the time. He hasn't picked any just yet. Oh no, he has actually killed 2 CDBs. So that's quite good, and a big push coming now in.
Yeah,
Minutemen being called.
In between Minutemen and Musketeers, he has picked up a few Minutemen, a few Musketeers, but he has already lost 2 war wagons, which actually, at this point, it feels unnecessary. Nice raid in the coin mine. That's
another villager going down.
Yeah, that's Lecastete's 3rd villager going down. His Minutemen are starting to lose their HP. 8 skirmishers arriving on the board for SoldieR in Lecastete's base. These Minutemen now being picked up by the Ulans, and nice pick up from SoldieR. I think SoldieR's he's got the military advantage. It's now 49 population to 16.
Yeah, and he can do even things like this, like just parking 5 Ulans on his opponent's next hunt, because he knows he has the military advantage, and he is poking in, putting more pressure and starving his opponent out slowly. And these Ulans coming in, CDB is going back in time, but looks like SoldieR wants to take a fight now. Muskets in melee.
I think SoldieR's forgot about those Ulans. He's too busy focusing, like, microing here. He's forgot what those extra Ulans are, and even more reinforcements. A 4 reinforcement batch of veteran war wagons. These would be great versus what the French players got. Just imagine if SoldieR selected all of the units, those 4 war wagons and 5 extra Ulans on top of this predominantly skirmisher army and a few musketeers. That could have been a cleanup there for SoldieR, but SoldieR giving Lecastete that extra time to breathe and mass out a few more units.
Yeah, and the military population is starting to even out a little bit, but SoldieR is still ahead by 4 on the economic count. And is he gonna find this? Looked like for a second he was gonna go in direction of the Ulans. If he just steps a little bit closer, he's gonna see it. Yeah, if SoldieR doesn't react in time, he's gonna lose basically all those Ulans.
Yeah, and these are colonial age Ulans, remember, not the veterancy upgrade, not yet just in for the German player, losing 4 Ulans there for free.
And nice control from Lecastete. He picked up the Ulan that was further away so that he could get damage on all of them, and so now only 1 Ulan escaping.
Yeah.
And looks like a backdoor raid coming in, and 2 Ulans as well, but the muskets should be more than enough to deal with that. But more Ulans coming in, and now the muskets are in a disadvantage.
Well, SoldieR's now lost 10 Ulans before that veterancy Ulan has come in, so 10 of those extra Ulans right now with the veterancy upgrade could make a huge difference. Obviously, a few of those Ulans were in Age 2 on raiding duties, but SoldieR's lost a lot, it feels like. 10 Ulans, 2 war wagons, 2 skirmishers, but could have picked up more musketeers from Lecastete, as well as that skirmisher batch before those dragoons came out from that shipment and stable.
Yep, and Falconets coming out from Lecastete. This is a shipment that he has access to that Germany doesn't have, but he has to protect them well. And looks like SoldieR's taking the second trading post, maybe a bit late, but also still a good eco-investment for Germany. But it's probably just going to get taken down right away by the Falconets. And the Musk is causing some trouble in the north, but getting cleaned up now.
The French player Explorer has been just picked up by that army to the south. He knows where this skirmish and dragoon army is, so he felt comfortable basically pushing onto those musketeers onto the north side and picking up those 4 musks. He did lose another villager though due to that musketeer raid, so I think all in all, Lecastete will be happy with that. Musketeers feel a little bit awkward in the 3rd age when they're not upgraded, but Lecastete starting to mass dragoons and skirmishers quite heavily and having to rely on these falconets to deal with SoldieR's infantry army of skirmishers. But actually, have you seen the amount of war wagons on the field for SoldieR? This is a really nice mass.
Yeah, and Lecastete is a little bit hesitant of going in, and here SoldieR has sent 1,000 wood and 1,000 coins, so his mass is going to be a lot stronger in the next minutes to come. And Lecastete not really using the opportunity he has to do some damage now. Actually, the opportunity has already closed, I feel. And yeah, looks like he's giving up for a Merc shipment. Probably the Jaeger's gonna come in with that many war wagons that he already has.
Yeah, definitely Jaeger's. Good shout on that one there. And let's have a look at SoldieR's deck quickly to see if he does. And yeah, it's just the Jaegers or the Black Riders, but having 14 war wagons on the field already, I think the Jaegers would be better served here. And we do see that shipment nearly ready and nearly being sent. Does Lecastete have Jaegers as well in his deck? There's a lot of war wagons on the field, and he does have 10 Jaegers, which is a very nice shipment for the French. Shipment I like to see a bit more sent from French players. 10 Jaegers is 2 Jaegers less than the Germans have, but that's due to the German bonus. 10 Jaegers on their own are still phenomenal units.
That's true, and good anticipation from Lecastete. He is starting to train cuirassiers and also cav combat coming in. And he absolutely needs these to block the cav mess and also get damage onto the skirmishers. But you also can see that SoldieR's boasting a 30-point score lead, and that's due to the unit shipments coming in and paying off for him.
Explorer from the French player just pushing in, trying to see what SoldieR is up to. He's only really seen the skirmishers. He does know that there's multiple war wagons, but I'm not too sure he's aware that there's 19 war wagons on the field. And wow, 19 war wagons with the Jaegers, and I think one thing to point out here from the war wagons is, look at this, they have high HP, high range attack, but it's at a 16 range stat. These guys outrange their Dragoons, but also slightly easier for these guys to get on top of the Falconets. In other civs, you may see kind of Dragoons having to kind of pile on top of skirmisher formations just to try and get in range of the Falconets, but the war wagons will have a little bit of an easier time, and actually the Dragoons will have to close in onto the German army to engage the war wagons instead of the vice versa, due to the Dragoons having the range deficit compared to the war wagons.
Yep, and the Jaegers are now here, so this signals go time for SoldieR. And at the same time, Ulan's coming out here, and also an Ulan stationed on this hunt up here. So he's probably looking to do the same thing Lecastete did to him earlier. Take a fight, and at the same time, raid.
One thing I'm slightly upset though, he probably wasn't thinking about it. Lecastete's Explorer is down on the floor, right in the middle of the path. He has seen Jaegers coming. He's seen that there's many war wagons, and this might explain why Lecastete is kind of backing off. But Skirmish is leading the line at the moment. Falconet's already unpacked. I think
CDVs coming in. They are upgraded with all upgrades that they have, and the Falcon's getting big volleys.
Yeah, I think SoldieR's seen this, and he's seen lots of these CDVs here. It's two Ulan's left side to try and get, but he's not overly committing just yet. I feel that if SoldieR wants to smash it in, he'd be in a good position, but leaving the kind of edging in, the Falconets is going to get nice volleys onto the skirmishers. He doesn't really want that. He wants to really slam it in, and that's what you see now. All these war wagons in range of cuirassiers and Dragoons. Falconets still firing, no? Where have the skirmishers gone?
They have retreated in. They are afraid of the Falconets, and SoldieR maybe can't really push in here. There are too many cuirassiers and Falconets, and I'd almost like to see him cycle back to the top of the map and maybe push in on top of this Coleman, because Lecastete has been
Falconets!
Past. Ooh, getting some free shots, but nah, not the most impactful probably. But SoldieR's still trying to make something happen on this part of the map.
Yeah, let's see what's in queue for SoldieR. Like, he could be gearing up for an Ulan swing. He's got 5 Ulans in queue. Cav Combat's just come in, and I guess that's very smart of SoldieR, waiting for Cav Combat for his massive war wagons. You see that even the French player has got the Cav Combat in as well. So 17 Dragoons, 9 cuirassiers for the French player, 20 war wagons in for SoldieR. So probably even in terms of resources spent in the cavalry department. These Ulans may have to put in a bit of overtime to really come in and smash this formation, but lots of war wagons. Skirmishers count still looking nice for SoldieR. 11 Jaegers still standing, and only the skirmishers being picked off by the Falconet volleys so far.
Yeah, and Lecastete is running a bit dry on Coimans. This is the last one he really has access to, and after that it's in the middle of the map where he has to go. And that also explains why he is pushing so aggressively down here. He has to secure these resource locations. And if he identifies this, it's going to be a big swing for him.
Yeah, certainly huge. These guys, they do have their great coats on, which is nice. But that would force Germany to kind of really engage. And it's not exactly easiest to path around here. You've got trees right side, trees left, TP socket in the middle as well. And one cuirassier has scouted this, which has forced all his villagers back, but more importantly, may actually force the two armies to meet. Lecastete's not moving just yet, so he's now seeing the reinforcing war wagons, pulling back that one cuirassier. But that single cuirassier probably actually getting a lot of value for that mini raid there.
Yeah, look at this. The Falconets are set up in a funny way, one inside of the other one. And yeah, looks like we will have some conflict over this coin mine in the middle of the map. Falconets set up nicely with trees around them, but a ton of war wagons. And as you said, they can snipe Falconets very easily, and looks like that's exactly what they're out to do.
Right, here we go. Ulan's on top side, trying
Good
to get the
positioning.
skirmishers. 5 cuirassiers swinging from behind. These war wagons are zoning down the Falconets. Falconets are down. Not too many skirmishers for the French player. Lots of war wagons still available, but it's hard to call this one.
Yeah, it depends how well each player focuses on their respective counter units. Looks like the Cuirassiers will dry out because there are so many war wagons. And the mil-pop graph is looking in SoldieR's favor so far. He still has 8 Jaegers left, which are incredibly strong skirmishers. And yeah, I feel he came out ahead in this fight. The first one didn't go so well for him, but now he is in the driver's seat.
7 Jaegers still on the field for SoldieR, so that's providing a very good skirmisher line here.
And these boys have to go.
I think these boys have to fight actually.
Or fight,
instead.
yes.
Yeah, because he's starting to run out of resources, and especially mines as well. These guys
More
with the blunderbuss are
reinforcements
quite
coming in.
decent. Dragoons engaging, but having to fend off these veteran Uhlans, and actually now it's really in favour of SoldieR. I think Lecastete has to properly back out now. Even more reinforcements, 9 more of these veteran Uhlans coming in, and these are the great times to send 9 Uhlan shipments. And look at this, these 9 Uhlans are going to go straight on these villagers, and there's the GG.
GG. That was quite a close match for quite a long time. I actually thought Lecastete had it after he won traded so well in the choke. But SoldieR managing to do quite a well comeback. His remorse was stronger, partly a bit due to his stronger eco, and then he just gets a very favorable engagement. And yeah, look at that mill graph at 16 minutes. SoldieR just lost so many units for free, while Lecastete basically lost nothing.
Oh wow, yeah. So I think in this one, like we saw, there was just so many war wagons there. It's really hard to kind of judge how much strength they actually have because the anti-cavalry are they are a counter-type unit. They have to focus down their respective units to get the most value out. And most of that population going down for the French player was the cuirassiers. I think SoldieR managed to snipe off those Falcons first to protect his skirmishers. Then once the skirmishers were protected, had the war wagons out in front to soak up the hand cavalry damage, and I guess the rest of the French skirmishers and dragoons. But because there's 20 upgraded veterancy with cav combat war wagons, that was enough just to take off the French hand cavalry, and there was still 7 to 8 Jaegers in the back line. And once those cuirassiers went down, those Jaegers were able to fire on top of the dragoons in a very effective manner, and that's probably what swung the fight in SoldieR's way.
Yeah, and I think what allowed him to do that was his lead in economy. Having a look at the villager graph, you see it constantly going down for Lecastete, losing 1 will here, 2 wills here, and closing the game out on 32 against SoldieR's 50 villagers. And also in the resources gathered, we can see he was ahead by more than 2,000 resources in that. So that's what allowed him to make such a big unit mass.
Having a quick look at the shipments, and obviously the Germans have an XP deficit due to their Civ bonus. Both players getting the TPs early on, and you can see that Lecastete, he's always slightly ahead in the shipment count. And I think that's probably one of the key things in a French versus German matchup you may want to consider, is just knowing that you're ahead in shipment progression, and then once you have that shipment, try and press that advantage where you have it. And as soon as not, because as soon as, let's say, Lecastete got those 8 skirms, 5 dragoons out, you know that you're slightly ahead from SoldieR. But I guess SoldieR did fast age, did skip the wood, and even managed to get enough wood to go for a full 200 house population. That must be a lot of wood to chop then.
Yep. He did send 1,000 wood, which helped a lot in that regard, but still a ton of chopping had to go on. Especially since he went for that more tempo-based fortress style, skipping the 700.
Or maybe actually he bought a lot of wood because woods to get stable barracks, and then he's only got an extra 1,000 wood. He hasn't chopped any wood since 12 minutes, so I think he actually bought all that wood he needed. That's
possible, but I really don't like buying wood as Germany, because you need the coin, and judging by how many coin mines he has still left at the end of the game, I'm not sure if you bought that much. All right, shall we head out?
Yeah, I've just hopped out just into the next lobby, and we should be ready to go on to Adirondacks.
Okay. No Civ picked so far.
It's going to be SoldieR's turn to pick on Adirondacks.
Yeah, the chat saying French wasted his Hussars in H2. That's a good point to make. He didn't really get much value out of the Hussar shipment, the Hussar he built, and then he was just a little bit behind for all game.
I completely forgot those. I think by the time those war wagons popped out, there's only about 6 Huss remaining around about then, but all those Hussars were picked up by the 3 Uhlans and the 3 war wagons. 3 war wagons to deal with the damage, 3 Uhlans to snare, and those Huss just trying to trade off, but high HP, melee resist, as you identified. Those war wagons were basically not even scratched by the end of it. And just imagine if SoldieR used those extra Ulans in early Age 3 and those extra 4 war wagons. I think SoldieR could have put the squeeze on Lecastete much earlier then.
Yep, that's right. That almost sounded like a phrase from Lord of the Rings. 3 war wings to snipe the Huss, 3 Ulans to snare them. Like 1 ring to rule them all. Sounded a bit like that. Okay, do you know if the players are taking a break? Because they are not selecting anything just as of now.
Maybe. I mean, like, it's a tournament series, so we've got to respect if players want to take a little 5 minutes. And that was one of the interesting things we noticed when it was at the LAN, was that because of the LAN New World Championships in last summer, there was a lot of high pressure games. A lot of money was being played for, so I think there's a lot of tension going on, and most players took breaks after each game. I think Diaruga went to the toilet after every single game. It's just like, right, 5 minutes, gotta go.
Yeah.
I think we saw it wasn't. Was it Snow? Yeah, it was Snow. Probably taking a cigarette break in between a few games of Principal Ball. There's just lots of like these breaks happening, and we was like, yep, we can allow that. These players are playing at the highest level, and they just felt that tension and just wanted time to chill out. And SoldieR is back. He's picked the Aztecs. He's locked the Aztecs, and it's up to Lecastete to counter the Aztecs. And what would you pick against Aztecs?
French, because they would pick French against everything.
Obviously, Lecastete's just played the French, so that can't happen now.
That's true. That can't happen. Probably Iroquois is a decent choice. They have some options to hold colonial, and also can age up. Or not sure what else Lecastete is familiar with playing. Sioux got big buffs in the latest EP. They're quite strong now. Brits maybe, but Brits are maybe playing a little bit into Aztecs' hands. Spin the wheel. We need to get the GUA Civ wheel in here. And if they can't decide on a matchup, then we roll the Civs for them. Do you know what the CD emoji is about? It has been... I'm so spin. It's a Civ wheel.
Yeah, it's a Civ wheel. Spin the wheel. I think most players would have been thinking about matchups beforehand. I'm not too sure we'll be seeing spin wheels this time, but you have just given us the perfect idea for the next ESO Community Weekends Tour Spin the Wheel tournament.
Yeah.
Just to imagine that, like, right, guys, you've made it to the finals, and don't prepare for anything. We'll just give you random matchups. Good luck.
Yeah, we've seen that also a bit in the GUA sub tours, right? Where Kaiser just gets, I don't know, India 3 times in a row and gets quite tilted after that. It was, I believe, in the December sub tour where he was playing against Hazard, which Hazard also won. So yeah, Hazard is quite on top of his game.
I was surprised about the previous series, Lucas versus Hazard. That was a 4-1 victory for Lucas, and I certainly wouldn't have seen that coming. I wonder if there's any opportunity we can get a bit of insight from the SKG clan to see if Hazard's aggressive build orders, was that predetermined, or was that Hazard trying to apply his own kind of match play to the situation? Because that's not normal Hazard style. Hazard's usually very, very standard. Especially when he defeated, Kaiser Klein 4-2 in the semi-finals. Very standard play there, I think, out of Hazard then.
Yeah, I agree with what you said, but it looked to me that Hazard had thought out his build orders, and just great scouting and gameplay from Lucas toppled him over. But the builds he had, they looked quite neat and prepared to me.
Do you remember that conscript Sepoy card?
Yeah, but he had it in deck, and it was a thought-out timing push to punish China for the blind FF, and unfortunately for him, Lucas didn't really do that. He anticipated and scouted what was coming.
So, like, I think when you send that card, I think that shipment itself does turn into 2 sepoys. Otherwise, it would feel very, very slow.
Yeah, it does, I think.
But then his next card was 5 sepoys, so that's a 7 sepoys. So in 2 cards, you had 9 sepoys instead of 2 villagers, which is basically 5 sepoy twice. Training more sepoys, but then 5 Rajputs and 4 Sours is even more sepoys. So actually, it did give him a lot of value, but would it?
Yeah.
It's unsure whether a consulate's push with the British allies would have been basically the same situation and the same effect, but stronger.
I'm not sure about that, but I would assume that the SKG thought about that a bit and determined this build is better, and it is quite all in. And when Lucas started reacting accordingly, there was not much Hazard could really do. But yeah, maybe 2 CPS is a bit weak because the villagers, of course, they generate a lot of value, and you basically give away your entire scaling potential as India if you ship that card. So it's a double-edged sword.
Yeah, and that's one of the reasons why Indian Eco is actually somewhat effective in later games. It's like, oh, we've already sent like 9 cards in the colonial age, and at that point you realise, oh, hang on a minute, India's just got an extra 10 vills from nowhere just because that's what they do. And I would like to say they kind of scale at the same rate as maybe Russia in the early age too, but I mean, it starts to tail off because Russia can continuously produce vills at that point, but shipments start to run out, and it looks like we are ready to go here.
Yep. Russia versus Aztecs. And Russia also, as if that Lecastete showed early he was willing to pick. And this is quite an aggressive matchup, I feel. Probably Russia can't even afford to do the forward warhard unit spam and maybe has to age up in base. Is it so that the villagers train more quickly in this iteration and the 70 villager age up is more viable? I'm not sure about that.
I don't think that ever actually was implemented. Do correct me if I'm wrong, chat, if that is the case, but I do believe villagers still train at 53 seconds per batch. We are back, guys, for game number 3 between Lecastete and SoldieR.
Having a look at the map, no coin mine is missing, but the 3rd and 4th one are very far for Lecastete.
Actually, I think he's missing that one right there. That should be a coin mine. It's roughly symmetrical. 2 mines in base, and Lecastete's missing the 3rd, but it's not the end of the world, but let's just let him know.
Yep.
His 3rd is definitely missing. Yeah. But also the hunt situation from Lecastete is a bit... no, it's the same for both players. SoldieR's got quite as a 3rd one.
Yeah, they are not... I don't know if it's important. He has to know. Oh, yeah, he wants to know which one it is.
Are you ready? Yes.
Yeah, the comment's probably not going to be too impactful in an aggressive colonial matchup.
Well, I'm including his 2 coin mines in base, so his nearest coin mine outside of base is missing.
Yeah.
Maybe because
then it would be not very impactful, and both players getting a very nice big food treasure, and especially for Russia, they can age up, I believe, 10 seconds faster with proper macro if they get such a treasure. But also SoldieR not using his warrior priest for a hut, but having a villager dancing on it rather. What do you think about that?
Certainly non-standard. I think he just wants to get that fire pit up. It does take a while for it to build, and we can see that warrior priest is moving back. Missing out on the early XP though is quite big. It does send that 3 vil shipment in that a little bit earlier, but it's certainly nice. And if anything, maybe he could have used the warrior priest to tank the HP and leave the war chief still on 500 HP. But it's pretty interesting.
Yeah, but the extra damage did allow his war chief to be quite a bit more healthy than he would have been otherwise, because these outlaws, they do quite a bit of damage.
And see Lecastete on the north side picking up a native scout. What's this treasure here? 90 food.
That's very nice. Probably gonna get under contention because both players are walking towards it. SoldieR has scouted it, and Lecastete running towards it just right now.
I hope Lecastete starts thinking about herding, because his second hunt's nearby, and SoldieR's already herded his second hunt, but his third hunt is quite far. And it's the same for both players, but it's one of those maps. Just it feels awkward to get your extra resources, but that's just playing to the map, I guess. SoldieR engaging these 3 wolves, converting 1. This Outlaw Rifleman tanking lots of damage as well, and that's just a nice thing about these converted Guardians. It's not just that they do attack; is they also have HP and can tank quite a bit.
Yeah, and Lecastete not trying to deny that whatsoever. Looks like he is more interested in picking up the 90 coin treasure down here, which will allow him to basically train a batch of musks for free coin-wise. And do you train musks, early colonial, or Strelets in this matchup?
From Lecastete, I would suggest that your first batch of units would be Musketeer Cossacks, but then be thinking about Strelets afterwards. The Aztecs do have Coyote runners, but they do like to be sending units like Pumas and Maces. So I guess actually you'd rather try and train Strelets, but if you run into Aztec players' base with just Straits and Cossacks early on, you are at risk at 6 Coyote pop, Town Center fire, War Hut. I would gonna assume that the Aztec player will be playing the more defensive in this matchup compared to the Russian player. But who knows, we could see a mid-map contest of blockhouses and war huts. It wouldn't be the first time, and this could be a good opportunity for the Aztec player to be sending the 2 war hut age-up politicians to the second
And I think he's doing just that, isn't it? The Shaman gives you 2 war huts, or at least not the fast age-up politician.
Yeah, no, Shaman it is indeed. So 2 war huts. It's up to SoldieR if he wants to play aggressive with that or not. I have seen SoldieR recently play this matchup versus a player on the ladder, and he did go Shaman mid-map with it on top of the Russian blockhouse, and after he caught the early Cossacks, the game felt over at that point. So I think SoldieR's got a plan. He's happy with that plan. He's going to try and execute it, but Lecastete going for an in-base blockhouse.
Yeah, and like you mentioned, the early herding, yeah, not that much, but hurting Lecastete a bit. The villager was getting pressured, and now the Tomahawk doesn't have a negative multiplier anymore. And yep, like you said, 2 Warheart Travers coming into the middle of the map, but getting immediately spotted by the native scout.
Yeah, that is very, very nice scouting from Lecastete. We know exactly where these are. It's not really surprised where they would go, I would say. I mean, but you might as well scout something with your scout if you are available to. But I think Lecastete knows that he's on the back foot this game and will need to play accordingly.
Yeah, and what do you think the first shipment is going to be for both of these players? Looks like 700 wood coming out for SoldieR to get more houses, I assume, and get the shipments, the unit spam rolling. And no military units in queue for Lecastete as of now.
Yeah, Lecastete still at 17 population, so just villagers. 700 wood came in, and you can see that from the population. And I like the 700 wood shipment because the Russian player can drop a second defensive blockhouse. And so, how do you push into 2 blockhouses, town centre? Going for stable as well for Cossack production later, but I do think a second blockhouse would be quite nice. You know, blockhouses also give 5 populations, so it's basically a barracks and an outpost, and half a house for 250, which is very, very good value.
Yeah, and also units can pop out from there, which is quite potent as well. But still, only 5 musketeers now and no more units in queue. Is Lecastete going for some sort of maybe semi-FF agenda? Getting some muskets and then trying to go with the Falconets?
I don't think so. I would hope not. But look at his units in queue: 3 settlers, 5 musketeers, trading posts. Okay. He's spending his resources as soon as they come in. That trading post, though, I'm not too sure on that one. We do see those Puma spearmen going straight towards the outpost, the trading post, and tear it down. And a second blockhouse would be a much safer bet at this situation.
Yeah, that's right. Although the trading post does give Russia some nice bonuses because they like getting their shipments in. But looks like SoldieR immediately notices that and starts to siege it down. And I want to say this native scout is positioned perfectly to know everything that's going on and not being spotted by SoldieR just yet. If he sends 600 wood now, he maybe can even go for stagecoach, although that can be risky.
Yeah, Lecastete's training post went down instantly at that point. Didn't even think about trying to defend it because Musketeers into Maze Sultan is very risky. I liked the idea of going 5 Musketeers opening up, nice and safe that is, but a batch then of Straits afterwards would be nice. He does have Straits in queue now. 5 Cossacks have just been produced, 13 Straits ships, 10 Straits in queue as well, but SoldieR's going to back off, I think.
Yeah, I wanted to comment, like, Lecastete's mass seemed so weak, but now he's stronger at the exact time that he needed it, and SoldieR forced to pull back. And in the long run, this has to be better for Russia, right? They can get Boyars, and the units just get so strong, so efficient.
No, you're certainly correct in saying that, and you know, Straits only just Strelets. I think SoldieR though does need a Coyote switch. He's seen these Strelets out in the field. He knows that another batch will be surely on the way. It's just a nice unit to have. A couple of Cossacks as well, and the Coyotes do well versus Cossacks and Strelets. Obviously well versus Strelets, good versus Cossacks because they kind of surround his units, and now pushing in the mace. And how many Coyotes does he have in the field? He must have at least 10. He's got 16 on the field, reinforcing Coyotes and the War Dance coming down from SoldieR here.
But they're getting blocked off quite well by trees and villagers, and no Minutemen on the field just yet. Now they're coming in, and a big fight is on the way.
Minutemen have just been called, currently engaging. Coyotes on top of the Minutemen. Pumas
the Musketeers of Lecastete stuck in the back for quite a while, not shooting that much. And Pumas on the Cossacks.
That's fine though, Musketeers at the back, good damage dealers but quite weak to Mace Sultan, so let the Straits take the damage. Pumas were north side zone off these Cossacks, and more Coyotes nearby. And look at this, the Lecastete's only got 1 blockhouse. If this blockhouse goes down, there's no more units being trained for Lecastete.
Wow. In the middle of the fight, he manages to siege it down. If he has 5 Cossacks on the way though, he can make something happen here, because there are not that many Pumas on the field, also no more in the queue. Only a shipment of them available. And nope, Mace Sultan being shipped. So this is Lecastete has the potential for a big calf timing here.
Well, I think SoldieR's got a good cav time in here. Just needs to send Coyote combat, mass another batch of Coyotes, push back towards the war huts though until you're ready to push out. And looks like this Coyote's going to go slam onto the Straits. Enough Puma Spearmen here to kind of scare off the Cossacks, but I think he's realised with reinforcements he needs to micro this and he wants to fight underneath the war hut.
Oh, Straits out of position. Not the best control from Lecastete at this point. Units being a bit out of position, but now he's going in and looks like he can clean up the anti-cav quite fast.
This is tight. Mace Sultan's all the Musketeers down. Only a few Cossacks still staying.
But 5 Puma, no, not Coyotes, about to pop. And the 6 Puma shipment, and now it's in SoldieR's favor. Cossacks going down, and he even deletes the blockhouse foundation and puts it further back.
Yeah, he knows that he needs to basically play as defensive as possible. Reinforcing Coyotes here, really nice for SoldieR. And with a military population 29 to 14, this is his go. So I'm going to push in. And actually, I think he's going to take the blockhouse and back off again.
Yeah, just denying the blockhouse is huge, because Russia really needs that infantry going. 4 Cossacks popping out in a good position, but the Pumas can attack them now.
I think this is an overcommit from SoldieR here. Once those Pumas and Coyotes go down, it's just been a few Cossacks on his mace, and these maces need to run, and they're being slowed down by this outlaw rifleman.
That's true, but there's not that much damage potential behind this for Lecastete. He basically only has those Cossacks and a few Strelets. And more Pumas coming in, which will be able to scare off the Cossacks. This is a very, very scrappy and close engagement. Looks like Lecastete doesn't feel he can push out of his base. He's out of resources soon. The hunts are almost about to dry up, and he has to resign.
SoldieR taking 2-1, and I feel that it didn't feel over, but you need to remember, obviously, Lecastete, no blockhouse, no infantry production, and was probably training a few more Cossacks, but then reinforcing batches of Puma Spearmen. Like, how do you try and defend that? I think Lecastete is talking about the Puma Spearmen and how Minutemen no longer counter these units.
Yeah, they just basically went to chill on top of the blockhouse and siege it down while a fight was going on. And of course not threatened by really much, because the Minutemen don't counter them as hard anymore. And yeah, looks like Aztec is quite a good civ now, after like 20 rounds of buffs.
Well, Aztecs have always been an alright Civ if used correctly. Like they've always been good at what they do, and that is contain and press. And they do have a really really fast rush if they don't send the 700 wood. So there is options to the Aztec Civ. I think it's just one of those Civs. It's not fully explored yet because not many people enjoy playing the New World. The War Chief Civs, and it's partly the reason why we've had 2 War Chief weekend tournaments recently, or seasonal tournaments. Military unit population, you can see how SoldieR gets that swell of units nice early on due to shipping, mainly focusing around that 10 mace shipment, but also getting I think it was first shipment. What was his first shipment? It was 10 mace, followed by 5 coyotes, 9 mace. But that TP from Lecastete went down very, very early on. As soon as it was built, it was down. And that was the wood he needed for that second blockhouse, which would have been pivotal in this map defense. Until he would have run out of resources, and he was starting to run low on hunts.
Yeah, you're quite right about that. Probably in this matchup you can't go for the TP that Russia likes, because it just goes down immediately, and then you don't have enough resources for blockhouses and units. That costs them quite a bit, I feel.
Yeah, but afterwards, SoldieR having a good engagement on Lecastete near his war huts, and that was once most of the musketeers went down due to the mace Sultans. Pumas Coyotes on top of the Cossacks, trading off there, I believe. Straits picking off the Pumas, but not before Cossacks went down. And then just the remass from SoldieR was much easier because of his production facilities, while Lecastete only had a stable remaining and just couldn't get the compositions out that he needed. And that was a good game being sight from Lecastete, and SoldieR taking it 2-1.
Yep. Do you remember who picked last in this match?
So it's going to be game number 4 next, and that will be CMC, Lecastete to pick.
Okay, so SoldieR picked first just right now, so Lecastete picked Russia into Aztecs. Is that correct?
So it's game 4 Civ reset.
No, I mean the game we just watched. Who was the player to counter pick here?
Oh, it was Lecastete picked. SoldieR picked Aztecs because he's from the New World Challengers, and Lecastete countered with the Russians, but is now. Lecastete to pick because it's game number 4.
All right. Yeah, just wanted to say that a bit of a curious decision, because it seemed like SoldieR was just ahead the entire game in military mass and XP and shipments, and looks like a quite a tough matchup for Russia.
I'm just having a look at.
But yeah,
I'm having a look at the chat.
Lecastete picking Germany.
Yeah, having a look at the chat, and quite a lot of that chat is talking about specifically the buff to the Puma Spearman, and revolving around the one individual who's leading the EP Balance team, and he's been doing a great job behind the scenes, and that is Zoe. So I think Zoe's got a lot of work to work on, and lots of opinions to try and balance. It's quite a hard job, but I believe he's doing a good job as it is at the moment. And would Lecastete even say that if he won the game? He's not going to say he's not going to win the game and go GG. Oh, by the way, this.
Of course, yeah. You're quite right about that. Zoe has an incredibly hard job, because basically no one's gonna ever be satisfied with the balance changes, because obviously everybody wants to see their ideas and their balance changes come to fruition, and he has to balance all these different opinions. And of course, when you lose, you blame it on balance, and if you win, you say you're just good.
Yeah, but I think yes, I identified what happened in that last game. I think SoldieR's probably right now talking to his team. It probably explains why these Civ picks take quite a long time in this series, especially at the higher level where it's lots. I think a lot of this rests on SoldieR's. Both these players. These Civs, these teams were relatively equal after 3 series, 8-7. I believe in favour of CMC, don't quote me on that one. But now it's 2-1 to SoldieR. I think it may be equal at this moment. This is the 4th series.
Both of these players are very serious about this match and taking the time, consulting with their teammates, as it should be. This is a team tournament, even though it's 1v1s. And what do you think, what Civ SoldieR has available here?
SoldieR is really good at all Civs. He's just one of those macro players, and when you go watch his stream, he just feels that he's always got good control of everything he does. So I don't think SoldieR has a weakness. He's quite an experienced player though, so I'm sure he's very familiar with the European series. I haven't seen too much Asian Civ play out from SoldieR. I don't think I've seen too much, let's say, Japan or China from SoldieR. Maybe.
Well, I think China is a civilization SoldieR picked up a couple years back and has been doing quite well with. Do you know if he plays Iroquois?
Oh, I think he does, yeah.
Ah, okay, so that could be also an option for him. Or even Su maybe, because I think Su is just very strong right now.
Yeah, I think he's just a very experienced player. Obviously, if I look at his home cities, it's not going to give a complete rundown of all his games, but he has certainly played 2,150 games, so 2,150 games, but that may have resets due to some inactivity over his years of playing. We currently have Sompu Konku hosting the 1v1. Sompu, come back to the stream. This is where the action's at.
Yep, and the players taking a little break. That is. What do you think about the change on this map? The pawns were removed. And when I first played on it with the new design, I was quite surprised how big and how open it is.
I would like it to have like a just a, you know how some maps have winter and summer spawn. I would like to have if it was available to be coded, but somehow like the winter spawn is the same season, but just the one with the lakes and one without the lakes, just to add that extra variability.
Or maybe it gets a drought spawn where the lakes are just dry.
Well, it's basically what we have now in the current Iowa.
That's true.
And this current Iowa map, I like the map. It feels like a nice map, but it does take inspiration from many of the maps in the map pool already, and so it kind of feels it loses that uniqueness. If we take a map like Dhaka, that's a very unique map, and which has been basically has been made and been put back into the map pool. Iowa was a very unique civ to begin with the 3 TP. You can see on that map on the top right the 4 lakes and the choke points.
Yeah, that's the old map.
But now that those lakes are gone, it feels like a very standard map. If hybrid between Arizona, Mendocino. It has the flavors of like high plains, but only 3 TPs and slightly reduced resources. So it's not. It's a nice balanced map. It just feels like another map. And SoldieR going Germany. And the one thing to remember about this map in particular is you do have 2 tin mines in base, 1,500 coin. All the rest of the coin mines are 1,500. And for a German mirror, who knows? We may see crossbows and pikemen coming in after 15 minutes.
Oh yeah, I remember from way back in the day, there was a Saturday SmackDown German mirror, and after 30 minutes, they were basically training crossbowmen and pikemen, and they still had 3 Ulans, and they were treasuring them because that's the last coin units they had left. Yeah, curious decision by SoldieR, but he's probably comfortable. He has played much more German mirrors than Lecastete, I imagine. SoldieR. I mean, Germans being one of the civs SoldieR is most familiar with and probably comfortable in picking a mirror here. And it's also quite an interesting and dynamic mirror, I think.
First thing I want to say is map balance, and both players have 1 nearby hunt, and all the rest of the hunts are quite far out. So I think it's equally bad for both players, but the emphasis on the equal here.
I think Lecastete has 1 extra mine on his part of the map.
No, mine's equal.
Ah no, yeah, I missed one. I missed the one over here. Didn't see it. So the map is fair, which is good.
Right,
and the players are starting to head out for treasures.
200 would start here. Both players are going for TPs, and they're going for different TPs, which is nice because we won't have an early TP contention, which is quite well, it's just unlucky for the person who gets there second. SoldieR's gone to the right hand side. The Castete's gone to the left hand side.
Who gets first pass here? Lecastete, it seems like.
How far?
If he starts building the foundation and stops walking around?
I think he'll get it, because look at this little kink here next to that TP. Takes an extra while for that Travar to move by, and I think Lecastete should be able to pick up that XP back. It's going to take a while. It's already a half HP, that training post, so that's definitely going up there.
So he probably knew that this was the the first pass, and it's also, I think, quite a big pass, so he probably can ship his shipment right away. Let's have a look at the XP curve.
There it goes.
And yep, almost up to the next shipment, but also, of course, SoldieR not very behind in that. Oh, well, actually, a bit behind. He doesn't have his shipment on the way just yet, and Lecastete does have it.
SoldieR picked himself a 75 wood treasure, very nice. Lecastete had a very nice micro age 1 getting down and... Oh yeah, Lecastete's enough. A nice micro early age 1 getting that early house in and has sent that 2 settler wagon shipments really early on, where SoldieR has yet to send his and he just sent his now. So expect to see Lecastete's shipments in about maybe 25 seconds before SoldieR's. It's certainly significant. He's now picking up 100 food. I think Lecastete's be very happy with his age 1 so far.
He may even be able to go for a 16-will age up, and also his herding is basically perfect. The hunts are dead under his base, while SoldieR had a little bit more trouble controlling them. And if you can get up a will early, that's absolutely huge in the mirror.
I don't think you have enough resources for the Vil early because he had to chop that 100 wood, but he will have an idleless 17. I don't think SoldieR will be able to say the same because quite late on the house, quite late on the 3 settler wagons, no food treasure as well. 75 wood is very nice, but it doesn't help the age up time once you've already got that house down, so we'll have to see.
It helped him a little bit, like he got 30 wood out of value out of the early treasure. Because he could stop chopping a little bit earlier. He only has 40 wood overgathered. But you're right, Lecastete will get probably idleless and age up, and SoldieR, like last game, in the France versus Germany game, he will have to idle a little bit. Yes. And also another food treasure coming in for Lecastete, so this is basically flawless H1 from him.
Yeah, if you want to press the save button now, and each time you play online games, press the load button from this point of view, I think you'd be very happy for that. We already see that Lecastete is about 10 percentage points ahead of his opponent, so I want to say that's I missed when that time was clicked, but it's around about 10.
It was like
15 seconds
or something like that.
15 seconds.
And I think SoldieR's going for the second TP, which is also where you can get ahead in the mirror by just getting an extra trading post and accelerating your shipment curve.
Well, I hope he does because he's opened up the market, and I feel that if you wanted to just secure that second TP, commit to that second TP early, it's only a minor thing, but if Lecastete had the same idea, he could just sneak in right now. Is he going for? He's going for hunting dogs already. Like, so he's going hunting dogs while he's not hunting, and he's starting to get close to that 200 wood for that trading post. But it feels like you could just switch a few of these things around in different orders and have the same end result for a slightly better transition. But it wouldn't affect the TP Travois pass. SoldieR have that 2 TPs, but yeah, Lecastete's already on the tin mine mining, and he's already got hunting dogs, placer mines, and has enough wood available for steel traps. So I think Lecastete will have a eco advantage in early age 2, and it will take a while for SoldieR's XP investments to pay off.
Yeah, and I think that SoldieR will be going for 700 wood first because he has only overgathered 25 wood. Of course, he had to get that extra TP in, so he will be house capped quite hard if he doesn't decide if he decides to go for steel traps right away and doesn't ship the 700 wood card. And I know that HO is quite a big fan of this, to ship 700 wood first in the German mirror, because you can just get the racks up earlier and the double aggression comes out so much quicker. And yeah, we can see a Rex coming down and a stable for Lecastete.
Yeah, I think SoldieR scouted the stable as well, and I guess if you go in barracks, it's either do you go doppel aggression or pike defense, but due to the lack of wood in SoldieR's bank, it looks like it's going to be doppel offense, and you could just send 3 doppel sodners to Lecastete's TP, and Uhlans are not going to touch doppel sodners. It feels like it's an easy way to take down a training post at that point. Yeah.
And this map, it is quite big, and I wonder if how much the walking distance gonna impact the doppel timings. Looks like the Explorer is going down, the 2 Uhlans of SoldieR not gonna be able to save him in time. And two doppel soldiers in queue, and 4 Uhlans coming out from Lecastete.
I'm a bit worried for SoldieR here. He's decided to gather his back coin mine. It shouldn't be too much of an issue with Doppelsonders defending from Ulan raids. He hasn't really scouted his map left side or right side if you turn on the Fog of War. He doesn't really know where his next hunts are. And that's a bit of a worry for a player when it's a low hunt spawn.
Yeah, and Lecastete snuck in nicely and now saw the Doppelsoldaner, so he knows what's coming. And yeah, a barracks coming down straight away, and probably Doppelsoldaner is going to be in the queue. And these Doppels, they have to walk so far, they probably can't even stop the sieging of the TP in time.
You see how he splits 2 Doppels to defend 1 TP and 2 Doppels to take on the other TP, and even just 2 Doppelsonders. How do you actually pick these off? Okay, 1 Doppelsonder on its own, that could be a quick.
You think Lecastete can take this? It's only 2 Doppels.
It'll be tough.
Yeah, if he has to control his units well so that the Doppels don't get the splash damage off, but I think he realizes that he can take it.
Oh, this is a big pile up on those Ulans. 2 Ulans going down already for that 1 Doppel.
First Doppel down.
Not too bad actually for Lecastete there.
Yeah, it worked out alright. Let's have a look at units lost. And you have 5 Ulans going down for 4 Ulans and 2 Doppels, so definitely a good trade for Lecastete. And now he is able to get the trading post down. And he may even be able to deny these the Doppel siege here.
God, that would be huge if that was if he could pick off those 2 Doppelsonders left side as well. But I think he's happy with what's happened. He's just going to push in with his cav advantage because he knows he can push in, push out. He'll see more Doppels as well and may think, I got time to age. I did see he was training his own Doppelsonders. 5 going right side to tear down SoldieR's TP on the right side.
Yeah.
This is just hectic German mirror stuff as we usually expect in this matchup.
Yeah, and this can go either way quite quickly. Although Lecastete is in the advantage position right now, it can just swing so quickly because the damage potential of these units is quite big. And 5 Doppels coming out to siege the last TP of SoldieR, and if this just turns out even and both players age up, this is better for Lecastete because he didn't invest that much into the trading posts.
Look, SoldieR still hasn't scouted his next hunts, and he's chased off like 3 of his starting bisons, which have walked off. He starts off with a big bison herd nearby, and then a smaller one. So he's chasing that off with all his villagers. He's basically aged up now because he sent 700 coin, but he doesn't really know where his next bison is. He's herding 2 right side, but he hasn't scouted this bison hunt to southeast and to the southwest. So
yeah. Just shows how important it is to really scout around your base so that you know where your next resources are. And he's gonna get caught. Just one swing, but you can just split off that Ulan. Oh no, it's a bait actually. The Doppelsoldaner is coming in, and SoldieR is aging while Lecastete is almost aging. He made a few more units, I believe. No, but he made some more units because he's now pushing in with a big timing. Just as the coinman runs out. And he can take this engagement.
Yeah, Minutemen are caught. Even 5 more Doppelsonders as well. And oh my god, look at this mass. This is a huge mass of heavy infantry. Area damage. These Doppels are falling down very, very fast. Losing a lot of Ulans though. He's only got 3 Ulans after that. And these Minutemen are still standing. And Doppels can catch up to the Minutemen. But he's choosing to run away from these guys, which I think is the better decision. Looks like he's trying to pick off a house while he can. Lecastete's now aging behind this, but it feels like he walked in with a lot of infantry then, and it just kind of all fell over.
Yeah, it looked like a good fight for him to take, but somehow SoldieR managed to weasel his way out here, and the fight didn't go so well. He's probably going to lose 1 house, but that's probably worth it for so many military units. And he's up sooner. Oh, he sipped 5 Doppels actually first in H3.
Wow,
that's interesting.
That's an interesting card, that is. Yeah, very high value shipment, 1,000 resources, most of that is coin. But I feel like in this situation when you got players running around with cavalry and heavy infantry or war wagons would be more effective in this situation. And I would expect that to be the shipment that Lecastete goes for to start off with.
Yeah, it's probably I think he saw the 5 Doppels, not sure if you noticed. But probably going to be 8-8 skirmishers, I assume. And the Doppels coming in for a raid, and they're going to be able to deny this house and maybe even kill some villagers.
Yeah, 1 shot. SoldieR getting out 3 war wagons as well, so getting extra shipments in before Lecastete has even got his first shipment. He's still not hunting on his extra hunts. Lecastete is out in the field, but he really needs to wait for that first shipment coming in behind. He has 3 war wagons in queue, 3 war wagons shipped, so I think Lecastete should be able to get a bit of a war wagon advantage over SoldieR, but by the time SoldieR's batch completes, SoldieR may have more war wagons.
Yeah, and look at this, the third or fourth hunt from SoldieR just ran away into the corner of the map. So he probably thinks he's map screwed right now, but he just didn't scout the perimeters of the map.
He's even going for this hunt by the Lecastete assessment on the north right, and
yeah, which is very exposed.
Still has no vision on his safe hunts to the southeast, and that was the next hunt for him at the start of the game, and it's still there. Lecastete pushing out now with 7 war wagons. I feel that he's relatively safe in doing so, but 2 doppels, 5 war wagons, and 6 Ulans. This could be a nice catch for SoldieR.
Yeah, surrounding Ulans coming in, pulling back now.
Yeah.
Maybe not sure.
If
Doppels in cover mode.
If Lecastete can properly micro this, he'll be in a good position, but it'd be a tough one because there's so much more stuff on the field for SoldieR, and he's closer to his town centre.
And SoldieR identifying that all Lecastete's army is out, and he knows this hunt is vulnerable, but he doesn't know about the coin mine here.
Okay, losing 1 Ville, not the end of the world. War wagons nearby and starting to pick off these colonial Ulans, and you just chase these Ulans with your war wagons. Don't need all of them, but don't leave them behind. Need to do something about that. 2 Ulans right side for SoldieR as well, cutting in. I think he knows where the eco from SoldieR is. 1 Doppelsonder underneath the settler wagon. Really nice play from Lecastete there, and Lecastete has defended from SoldieR's raiding pressure there from a idled Doppelsonder.
Yeah, SoldieR hasn't seen this quite yet, and also Lecastete nicely pulling his villas away because he is aware of the Ulans. And so far the shipment progression is a little bit in favor of SoldieR, I feel, because he managed to sneak in 1 more Fortress Age shipment.
Yeah, it feels like early age up for SoldieR is really nice, and Lecastete having to go for 600 coin. I know that quite a few players in the chat are a little bit not agreeing with that move. I think Lecastete, it's essentially he was making a second batch of Doppelsonders, even though he had the intention to go to age 3, and at that point, just get to the 3rd age.
Yeah, and it's not a bad idea, but you have to get something done with the military units you get there, and he wasn't really able to accomplish much with his H2 timing.
Lecastete has a bigger skirm mass than SoldieR, and Lecastete hasn't even sent 8 skirms, only just coming in now, but has a nice skirm lead advantage at the moment. Doppelsonder's been slowed down by 1 Doppel in cover mode. He might not actually realise... Okay, he's just sorted that out now, so a good control there from SoldieR. Always very good on unit control.
Yeah, and the game just hangs in a perfect balance. Military and economy is exactly even. Upgrades on the villagers are also exactly even, I think. No gangster for Lecastete, but doesn't matter that much, I think. And this will just be determined by 1 big engagement and who positions and micros his units better.
Only difference is Lecastete has gone for 3 units of the veteran Ulans as well, but SoldieR's just going for Skirm War Wagon with a few Doppelsonders from that 5 Doppel card, but lots of Ulans available for Lecastete. But look at these HP, these guys are taking lots of damage already. I think SoldieR's got the advantage at the moment.
Yeah, this trade went quite alright for him. And the Doppelsonders in cover mode tanked quite a lot of damage.
Yeah,
and yeah, Lecastete not sure, pulling back.
Nice raid, top right, another wheel going down here for Lecastete's SoldieR on top of his raids, really putting the pressure on. He's scouting out the next mine for Lecastete, a nice play of his. He's now on 2 mines himself, so he does have a nice coin income, that is SoldieR. I feel that Jaegers is desperately what Lecastete needs to defend from this war wagon mass, but I just don't feel that the map will have enough resources to get a mercenary shipment in.
Yeah, maybe he wants to send 1,000 coin, and also want to add that Lecastete has vet Ulans, while SoldieR has not. He has not trained a single Ulan in H3, I think, just neglecting the XP donators completely.
I thought this TP had gone down from SoldieR in the second age, but it looks like actually Lecastete pulled those Doppelsonders away from sieging to go into SoldieR's base. But
no, this one he rebuilt it.
He rebuilt it. About to say, but that extra XP from that TP is very important, and you can see that SoldieR is currently 4 shipments to 2 in the Fortress Age. Lecastete obviously aged later and 1 shipment down, but having 4 Fortress Age shipments compared to your opponent's 2, it's just such a power spike, and you can just see that in the score, the military population. It's slightly ahead, and that last shipment he had was 9 veteran Uhlans, and nice shipment to have after you've gone through the 3 war wagons, 8 skirmishers previously.
And now getting pressure on top of this coin mine, this is really what this game is all about, denying your opponent the coin mine, and we can see SoldieR positioning a Ulan here, and now realizes that this is the coin mine to push, and zoning off the villagers, and he hasn't really taken any damage for that so far, so it's just a free good trade for him.
Look at that Ulan mass from Lecastete. He wants to push in. Skirmishers up front. These guys are too much. Not many.
Oh, the TP is blocking them from retreating.
Yeah.
Oh no, they managed to sneak through, and now the Ulans are getting pathing through. More Ulans coming in, and it's hard to determine who is winning this engagement. But it looks like Lecastete's Ulans are just DPSing down everything.
Yeah, but there's so many war wagons available for SoldieR here. I think if
so
SoldieR had his skirmishers out front and taking on the war wagons, the Uhlans would fall while taking on the skirmishers due to the war wagons here. But it looks like good control there from Lecastete. And who says that XP donators are bad? That 9 Uhlans shipment won the fight for Lecastete. SoldieR's 9 Uhlans seem to fall very fast.
Yeah, it just looked good for SoldieR for a bit, and then good for Lecastete in a bit. And actually, surprisingly enough, the fight was quite even, I feel. Not much was gained or lost by either players, except just some military units. And now the posturing on the map continues. But I like this from SoldieR a lot. He's a lot more active on the map, scouting with the Uhlans, identifying where the resources location to pressure are, while Lecastete has been doing no such thing.
Same with Lecastete. 5 Uhlans left side, but actually SoldieR's entire goes on the right side, so really unfortunate to get the wrong side there. He won't know where SoldieR's villas is, but if they're not on that mine and mine hasn't been gathered, you can assume where they are.
Unfortunately for him, he didn't realize that SoldieR never scouted this part of the map. And the Ulan now paying off and zoning off the villagers, and looks like another big engagement coming. The Ulans are coming in, the Warwings a bit out of position, and they are getting a big surround here.
I like SoldieR's position here. Lots more war wagons to deal with this 8 Ulan shipment from Lecastete. Same with the 8 Ulan shipment from SoldieR. Skirmish is not too much useful here because it's just skirmish and only a few war wagons for Lecastete. But he's winning this cav fight, and then it'd be enough Ulans to deal with the infantry. A few war wagons still standing. Out of coin for Lecastete here. He's pushing on.
Yeah, the SoldieR hype. I'm not sure what went wrong here for Lecastete. He had such a good start in H1. Like we said, that was the dream position. He got an extra TP. I know that was SoldieR. He got the extra TP, but he got 2 TPs down from his opponent, and he was ahead in resources gathered all the time. But yeah, if you lose the fights, you lose the game still.
Well, so no, what happened was Lecastete trained his second batch of Doppels, and he went from 42 military population to 2 military population during the age up, and that was all those units were lost even before 3 war wagons was even shipped. So it wasn't the war wagons that did the damage; it was the Minutemen. But 14 pop, and that was about maybe like 4 Doppel Southerners and 4 Uhlans, I think. The Doppels took down Lecastete's Uhlans while doing some splash damage on his own Doppels. I think maybe just because SoldieR got an early couple of swings in there. Minutemen came out, and a bit of town centre fire was just enough to pick these units off. But then SoldieR was up before Lecastete. Both military unit populations were essentially reset. Lecastete spent that extra shipment, 600 coin, on those Doppels, which are now gone, and then SoldieR was basically playing Fortress Age with an extra shipment on the board at all times, and then was basically dictating it. And I think the heavy war wagon competition there for SoldieR was nice. Could have been countered by Jaegers, but not much coin on the map here.
Yeah, that's right. And this, the H2 timing in this matchup is just a huge make or break deal. If you land it and it does damage, you have a big advantage. But if it doesn't, you're quite behind, as we have seen.
We do see, I think Lecastete lost about 4 vills due to raiding from SoldieR. SoldieR lost a few vills as well in that transition.
It was quite even, I think.
But yeah, good vill population production from both players. And that's the one thing top players are usually very good at, is continuous vill production. Never letting that TC go idle. All resources,
Yeah.
Lecastete ahead, but that's probably just due to crate shipments. So it's not too much difference. Maybe a bit of eco difference as well, but not too much. And in the Fortress Age, both these all resources graph kind of increased at relatively the same pace. So once they've spent all their units at this resources at this point, basically had the same kind of resource income and then same resources to spend with. And that's why that military unit population throughout the game is so equal. Just the lines nearly overlap for the entire game.
Yeah. And that just shows how good both of these players actually are, that the matches hanging in such a tight balance for so long and just tiny mistakes make the difference. And the chat is just now catching up with the end of the game, spamming SoldieR hype and NA and NA in the chat.
SoldieR hype.
Yep. Alright, the last map in this series is going to be What Malloy. And we were speculating earlier on some water potential here, but as we said, neither of these players really that familiar or that comfortable playing water. Maybe also disliking the playstyle a bit.
Yeah, I don't want to kind of preemptively call what both players are going to do because I really don't know. I don't think I've ever really seen any water eco play on this map, and this map wasn't designed for it. But with a 3 TP trading route line in the middle, it feels like if you're going water eco and your opponent has the TPs and hunt, it kind of feels like you're at a disadvantage unless you're in the 4th age with advanced warships like multiple frigates, a few upgrade cards, monitors. Then you can put some real pressure on. But I think this is more favoured for going for a land style here.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So
it is SoldieR to pick, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, you're correct in that one.
Okay.
To pikey. SoldieR to pikey. Hashtag.
What do you mean with that?
So what A's causes pike units.
Ah, yeah. It's funny actually. I played a few games a couple of weeks back against a conscript or a PR12 player, and we were training. I was training him a bit, and at some point I decided to just go for pure pikes. And he was Russia, and he went in, and I just could never move my pikes onto his units because they were too slow. Until he made a maneuvering mistake, and I just managed to send the pikes in from every direction, and it was like 40 pikes piking down everything. Strelets, Boyar Cossacks, musket was glorious.
In the Winter Championship, I spawned in the Beginners Division. Obviously, doing a bit of casting, I wasn't too focused on the playing side, but my first opponent was like a PR5, and I felt bad. So I picked British and tried to go. Started off going a bit of an eco build, just because I didn't want to go like fully into his base straight away. But then I went pure pike for the rest of the game. But I had to chicken out. I even had to send. It was on Hudson Base. I had to send a frigate. I think I aged up with the adventure and actually used those longbows. I think I had to send 10 longbow. I was up against a Japan civ who kind of got to the 3rd age Golden Pavilion, their ashes, and just endless pikes. It felt like I wasn't achieving anything. I was like, I don't want to not continue playing this because it's such a PR disadvantage or difference. But I was sweating against a PR5.
Well, I think if you're going pure pike, shipping the other units is fine, or aging up with them, because then they would be quite handicapped.
Yeah.
But
it literally was just a few of the eco builds and then stuff like advanced arsenal, maybe it's not eco theory, maybe like wood a cut and upgrade, but like a lot of kind of eco side to it. But he kind of got to the point when he actually got upgrades to bastion walls. I'm thinking, well, hang on a minute. I'm going to lose like 20 pikes before I even push in onto a Yumi mass of about 20 Yumis.
Yeah.
I mean, I could just lost the game and played standard for the next 2 games and win it, but I thought, what's the point in that? And then in the second game was on Manchak, and I went pure cannons as Dutch into this player's suit, and I may had lost the first engagement.
Maybe.
And
how many cannons did you have?
I was at 160 pop, so I must have lost about 22 cannons, I think.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, luckily I had a forward fort guarding my 2 factories, so heavy cannons were being produced then, horse artillery as well. But I think I was just too late unpacking, and by that time he was on top of me. I was like, well, this didn't work out, did it? So I had to send 17 raiders just to ensure that I wasn't going to lose my next batch of artillery straight afterwards. I didn't, fully go artillery, like raiders in. I still had like an artillery charge, and the second one was more successful because I think he kind of tried to find my force a little bit. But I was like, well, this went well.
Force are so strong.
When you tried to meme and you can't even do it versus like a PR8, I think it was. Yeah, PR8. I was like, well, I should just.
Yeah, then you need to work on your memes, but it did work out in the end. You won the series 2-0, didn't it?
Yeah, no, it was a 2-0 victory for me, as I've uploaded onto the tournament history. I'm sure you guys can go on and check those awesome replays out and kind of then banter on me for how bad I played in those, but I give you permission for that. It was only a kind of a you don't try super hard versus a low opponent. It's just one of those things. You kind of play it by. It's like one time I saw not picking on anybody individual, but I did see Kaiser streaming one time playing Russians on Arizona versus a PR25, and thought, okay, I just want to go pure Cossacks because I'm playing versus a PR25, and a few points it was looking a bit hairy for Kaiser, and then he was like, okay, right now I need to do this because I'm about to lose this, and I think I left the game unrated. So he had to try and outplay his opponent at that point, who had a big lead, let's say, due to him playing in a meme style, not super professional, serious, and then the other person actually having a good game, deleting Kaiser's buildings, putting eco under pressure, picking up vills, and you're thinking, hang on a minute, is Kaiser about to lose this?
Yeah, I also got the stick of Kaiser's meme play at some point. He was playing Dutch, and he was trying a 7-bank fast industrial against my French, of course. And at some point, like after 15 minutes, he managed to rebuild a TC on top of my third hunt, and I didn't notice it like after 5 minutes. And he called the stadtholder card, and I barely lost, but at some point he just resigned and said, maybe 7 banks and 2 factories is too greedy. And he was industrial and had a huge eco setup, but just no military, unfortunately. And it was a very close game, very good one.
God, the award for sitting in lobby longest so far as EPL 2 goes between SoldieR and Lecastete. Like,
yeah, these guys are the spiritual successors of Raphael.
There's a reason why I probably spend about 3 to 4 minutes after each game just kind of talking through the game and looking at a few of the graphs, because by the time you get out of the lobby into the next lobby, they may have just picked the Civ, or one person's just picked a Civ, one might be taking a break. You have that time available, but
that's true. You have to kind of adapt to the players. Do you make a quick recap or a long recap depending on how the players pick their civs?
I mean, if you want me to break down that previous game for 25 minutes, I'm sure I could. I can get a nice PowerPoint slide going and have Harrison's Lectures 101 from the EPL, and we could do a massive series on that. But Lecastete is finally back. He's picked the French.
Yay!
You sound like Chrissy when Japan gets played.
Yeah, of course. France is my civ. Like I have 200, I don't know, 1,000 games with France and 1,001 games with all civs combined.
Alright, both players have clicked the ready up finally after what feels like a 15-minute interlude talking about my beginners division tournament life. But no more. We're in the ESOC Premier League between the second tier players of both the CMC and New World Challenger, Lecastete versus SoldieR, and the score is currently 3-1 to SoldieR. We are in game number 5.
And the map is Malloy, and the matchup is France against Aztecs. Lecastete picking the French against SoldieR's Aztecs. And you have seen SoldieR being quite successful earlier in the series with Aztecs, and now Lecastete counterpicking it with French. And I think this is quite a good matchup because, of course, those CDBs, they tank so much.
Yeah, and one thing I'm looking forward to see from Lecastete is, beforehand, it was a bit awkward whether he wanted to or not, but Blunderbuss has been reducing cost from about 110 food to 75, and it has...
It has?
It has, it has.
And need to get that more often.
Yeah, and it has increases your range attack by 3 from 8 to 11. So you're doing a bit more damage from a TC, but also increases your range by 4 from like 12 to 16. So you have the same range as war wagons. You outrange skirmishers. You outrange Straits versus Russia, and I'm sure in this matchup you probably outrange Mega Sultans as well. So it's a nice tech to get in for your villagers. And if you can keep your villagers alive, it's better to have your CDBs fighting outside the town centre than in the town centre.
Yep. Yeah, and now that you mentioned that, I have fond memories of a match I played as French against Robrod's Iroquois, and I was completely lost, but I had all the upgrades on my villagers, and I was kiting tomahawks and winning every engagement, and he just couldn't finish me because I had 10 CDVs that were killing everything that went into my base. And it looks like we have a treasure contention. Where are the Guardians?
Oh, Lecastete's actually in. Yeah, I thought the treasure bugged, but it's actually good play from SoldieR's Canoe. But it looks like Lecastete just right-clicks down this side of the map for some reason, and I think SoldieR's got that. Lecastete could have got it, but I think he might have right-clicked and it bugged out, and then he just abandoned it. But it was close then, because both players were a little slow on that one.
Yep, and looks like SoldieR has spotted Hazard's computer can. Worth 100 wood, and I wonder how good this treasure actually is, because you have to go over and collect it.
It's absolutely terrible. It's a meme because because it allows you access to gather it, but I'm sure at that point the other player can still gather it themselves at that point. So it's not even, you don't get resources at that point, which kind of defies the point of what a treasure is. So funny joke from a couple of years back, but now it's like, is it still here really? And maybe after Hazard's 4-1 defeat versus Lucas, maybe he wants to pull out that old can of PC that he previously had.
Yeah, back to the old days. Looks like SoldieR's going for the 70 wood treasure. Very nice for him, especially as Aztecs. You can really use that wood to put it into units. And 70 food over here for Lecastete. And this map has a ton of weird treasures, like the Guardians are 1 puma and 1 wolf, or 3 wolves and 1 coyote. Quite interesting treasures.
Yeah, I think it may be an attempt to try and get the most balanced treasures possible. Some are really good, some are not so good. Both players not necessarily using their canoes at this point. We just see Lecastete fishing with his, gathering 35 wood early on. 3 cows on this North Island still to be picked up by Lecastete, and the same going for SoldieR, but he did use his canoe early on to get a treasure. Just imagine trying to kite this treasure with your exploring canoe. Put your war chief on, convert the Guardian, then hop back into the canoe. Or you could probably fight the Cougars at that point, but SoldieR making use of his canoe for treasure gathering, and then fishing afterwards. Lecastete just fishing, but those cows still available.
Yep, and maybe at this point either both players assume that their opponents already got it, so they don't even bother, or they are more occupied with more pressing matters at hand. Lecastete getting the far away TP and also scouting what his opponent is up to, and so just aging up with Shaman, so we'll get again 2 Warheart Travers.
Yeah, he played the Aztecs on Adirondacks versus Lecastete's Russia, aging up with the Shaman, I believe, how you want to pronounce it. And he's also going up the Shaman again, because I think he felt it's worked for me multiple times, it worked for me in the tournament, let's go for it again. I think in this situation, Messenger may be better. Just get up early and start training your villagers at an earlier place. But I guess you might want to put 2 war huts on this roundabout kind of this hunt here to try and get some sort of control over the TP line, or maybe slightly forward in Lecastete's face at this point to try and deny extra hunts for the French player.
Yeah, you are full of creative blockhouse locations, but actually, is the cliff removed on this map?
Yes.
Oh, so it's much less choky now.
Yeah, no, I liked the cliffs previously, but now it's just like a weird beach area, which is like, we've got a circle beach. Okay, sure.
Yeah. But now this position is quite strong because he has direct access to over here and can basically choke out Lecastete in the corner.
Oh yeah, certainly. I've got to say as well, this placement is nice because it does deny 2 salamander hunts nearby. 3rd trading post puts pressure on this middle hunt here. I think this hunt though is be relatively easy for Lecastete to control at a later point. However, SoldieR may be playing as aggressive as he can, or certainly forward thinking and push in. But judging by his macro, 1,000 food currently packed for SoldieR, he may be just going for some sort of semi-FF play here.
I'm not sure if you can do it because the Aztec pressure comes in just so fast and so strong, and I'm actually a bit surprised of seeing a stable coming out from Lecastete, as I think Musketeers are also quite strong in this matchup.
No, Soldier 700 wood, 600 wood, 2 war huts is just going for lots of units being produced, but I'm surprised this Civ can even get to 1,000 food in the bank this early on. That's a lot of resources from Soldier. Both players still forgetting the cows on each player's islands, and if you're not going to let them fatten up, just nice to be eating them now as well, just to help out early unit production. 5 pikes in the field for Soldier, 1 more Puma in queue at this point. Native Scout once again from Lecastete in between the 2 war huts. Nice position in there. War Chief scouts 2 Hussars left side. Puma's running back to save it. And Soldier is basically going for the TP line control and Stagecoach player looks like, and has no interest of pushing into Lecastete's base at this point.
Yeah, and this is very nice play from Lecastete. He pulls back 3 Hussars, which is enough to defend any big rushes that can come in, and the other 2 he uses to harass his opponent's eco, and this is the name of the game for him. If he can deny his opponent enough gathering, then he may be able to push out or even age up at some point. But he has to be active on the map with his units.
I'm
and
surprised.
Maybe gonna get a villager.
Oh, he's just basing the villagers towards these Puma. Nice play. I'm surprised he pulled back that Warrior Priest though. That could have at least tanked some damage. Lots of HP on that, and a 15 hand attack. Nothing to scoff at.
Yeah, this guy's strong. I don't know if you've ever felt the wrath of 10 Warrior Priests when you try to punish a 10 Warrior Priest FF from the Aztec player, but you just go in and they melt your army. It's quite frustrating to deal with.
Yeah, because they do also upgrade onto the 3rd age. I'm not too sure we've seen 3rd age play from Soldier. It looks like he's just going to go for Stagecoach control, full TP line, the Explorer's nearby, and essentially if you get just enough units, you can deny this hunt here from Lecastete, and then Lecastete will be in his base on hunts and berries. Lots of berries here, 4,000 food available for the French player. But he's now sent 8 bows and may be looking to break out of this shell, because I think he realises with no TP, if I go to the 3rd age, I won't have great momentum. And if I lose the
he
map
has
control,
to break out, and he also trained some crossbowmen, and this is probably going to be go time soon for him. And nicely enough, Lecastete is actually getting aggressive around because he may be expecting a Fortress age up from Soldier is getting aggressive because he expected an age up maybe.
Yeah, but now he's seeing his crossbows and Hussars. He knows what's going on. I think he's right to pull back for the time being, because if Lecastete wants to try and get an age in now, great. If he wants to push out, he needs to push out in these 2 blockhouses, which is very defensive and a good place to hold out. And he's got to do something. He's got to do something because the Stagecoach is now in for Soldier with 3 trading posts.
Yeah, and this is a good play for Soldier, getting that eco in and just continuing to contain his opponent. And I wonder, is that Cherokee TP the same? Is it the one that you also get on Arkansas? Because if it is so, you can get 4 more villagers from there and boost your eco even further.
Yes, certainly. However, if you would have gone for that, maybe going for early in the matchup would make more sense. But in this matchup, there's no way the French player can go for the Cherokee and then go Market X.
That's true, but maybe Soldier could have snuck it in.
Yeah, it's not too late to go for it and get extra 4 villagers. It does take time for it to ship, and I think Soldier is wanting to try and put that pressure on Lecastete and not allow him to break out onto his hunt left side. I think this is a nice kind of thing Soldier wants to deny from his French opponent. And look at this, French opponent, Lecastete. Steel traps has been researched, but all his food villagers are now currently on berries. 1
that's tough.
Hunt available, 2 hunts available, but soon will be out of huntables and will just be coin mines and berry bushes.
Yep, and it looks to me like he's gearing up for an age up. But resources is really what he needs, because he will just put a big target on his head if he clicks up. A ton of units will come in, and he doesn't. The berries are easily deniable to some mace holdings sniping in. So getting up to the Fortress Age is nice, but you also have to be able to train units.
It looks like the Soldier has currently got the XP dance on 3 vills, 1 Warrior Priest dancing, getting 9 XP per... No, it might be just 4 or 5. I don't think it's a fertility dance, but he's got a couple of these guys dancing as well at the back. But I think once Lecastete gets to the next age, I think Soldier may just He hasn't got the mass just yet to push in, but I'm sure we're waiting for Coyote combat first. He's got 6 Pumas now in queue. He should get a nice wood income from the stagecoach as well, and soon we'll have that nice mass to push in. But we need to reiterate, Lecastete is on a map where there's no kind of safe behind your base. He's got nowhere else to fall back, no more extra resources, and he's currently on berry bushes, so I think SoldieR will be quite happy with his recalc economic lead if you consider the stagecoach, especially because his fields are now on these hunts to the south of his base, quite happily on hunting dogs, and gathering much faster than his French counterpart is at the moment.
Yeah, and Lecastete also doesn't have a shipment ready, because that's the scary part when you age up, that you can ship military units, but no shipment in the queue for Lecastete just yet. And I wonder why SoldieR is doing it so passively right now.
I like Lecastete got vet hussars. That's a very, very good move here. I feel that we're kind of being a bit too scared of these crossbows. They are age 2, but there's a lot of units here for SoldieR. I think SoldieR needs to stop production of Mace Sultans and think of Coyotes and Pumas, and I think he has done that. He's sent both his Mace cards, but he only has 18 Mace on the field, 21 Coyotes and 31 Pumas. So Minutemen may not be effective this game, shall we say? Hint, hint, wink, wink.
But what will be effective are the CDBs, and I don't know if SoldieR scouted that, but they are upgraded to the max, and they will be able to fight a ton should it come to battle.
Yeah, Lecastete is definitely waiting for falconets. Like, he's not going to push out before his first shipment comes in, which he has now sent. 5 goons possibility, but I feel falconets is what he kind of wants, but there's nothing really to block the cavalry from nothing from the French player to really block the Puma Spearmen, apart from villagers, which I think he may need to engage in. Coin mine's now out, he's now on berries, and SoldieR is absolutely right for taunting Lecastete to push out, because that's what the French player has to do, and that is what we're seeing now. All villagers moving forward with the 2 falconet shipment as well, a couple of dragoons guarding the rest of the hussars, but 36 coyotes and 31 pumas is certainly a lot to deal with.
Yeah, and SoldieR he knows that he only has to hunt hold the resource locations to win the game. Yep, attack guns coming in, and this is all about positioning. The CDBs are in a good position to fight and tank, and the Falks getting huge shots off.
Oh, those Pumas are not engaging just yet. Now they are engaging on some of the cavalry. There's so many Coyotes in a densely packed area, fighting with the CDBs now. And if this trades off, France losing lots of his eco as well. Falconet's still on the field, but there's so much Aztec stuff here that actually, I don't think it matters. All those hussars are down due to the Pumas, Coyotes on top of the CDBs, and this is just going SoldieR's way, this is.
Yeah, the more stuff principle from Zuta just kicks in. If you have more stuff, sometimes you just win. Even though SoldieR had good positioning, Lecastete had good positioning and good units, it was just too much for him.
So I don't believe Lecastete is specifically referring to just a Minutemen, because Lecastete did not lose this game due to the Minutemen, and even has the benefit of the blunderbuss from the market and great cuts as well. But really well played by SoldieR, great contain there, and I really appreciate his decision for going, basically pure Coyotes and Pumas, and just making so many of these pikeman style units and not going over the top on Mace Sultans.
Yeah, that was just excellent strategy and planning from SoldieR, and yeah, Lecastete just got choked out in the corner. And I wonder if it would have been possible for him to maybe set up some sort of water eco, but that would have just slowed him down probably even more and made the timing much weaker.
Both players didn't have access to cows, and just imagine if Lecastete had the cows now, he would have an extra 750 food worth of juicy cows to eat, and a mine topside. Like, he ran out of coin in base. Just have like 5 vills in this coin mine.
Exactly. Like, both players completely ignoring the island and water possibilities of this map, and yeah, and if you do that, then you're just sitting in a corner getting contained by Aztecs, which is turns out to not be very successful.
You know the fight was one-sided because even the Falconets still staying alive and dealing damage. The Aztecs units, they don't care. They're just engaging.
Yeah.
Like these pikemans, they've
Yeah, the
always,
Falcons got huge volleys and still so many units for SoldieR.
I mean, they've always been this stat, but 13 times by 5, about 68 damage. No, 65 damage per swing versus Dragoons and the Hussars, and both those guys have range resist, so those Pumas did very, very well. And if anything, the Coyotes here were just here to tank, and the Pumas were doing the work.
Yeah, definitely. This was just very well played from SoldieR. He had a good plan, and he executed it perfectly.
So yeah, let's see those SoldieR hypes in the chat, and they're going away as soon as this game finished. Quick look at the village account as well. Good village account for both players. Lecastete opened up with 4 CDBs, not losing a single CDB into that fight. But then once you run out of resources, those CDBs aren't as useful as they once were. All resources gathered. The French player was ahead and was starting to slow off due to the having to gather berries instead of hunts. The Aztec player was closing in, and you can basically see once that stagecoach comes in for SoldieR how this eco guy ticks along and just gets closer and closer to the French player and was just gathering more resources. Military unit population and military unit count is just so in SoldieR's favour, and once those Dragoons were costing 2 pop, but actually they didn't really add too much to the competition, it felt like, once the Pumas were under them, and it just felt